I had water for her and Unc, and I was like, "Yo, I I was having my assistant give me a drink, and I was just like, "Yo, wait, do you drink?" I'm like, "I usually be drinking," and she's like, "Yo, act, yeah, trust me, I do be getting my drinks in, and I would drink. I just your platform is so big, I don't want to drink and slip up and say some fuck shit, and then people are mad at me." And I completely understood that. So she's cool. She look like, you know what I mean. She'll definitely throw a couple back. Pause. Drinks, right?
Actually, I want to just shout also, just speaking of not expensive, these glasses that I've been wearing, these, I got sent these glasses and some other, they're bifocals. Can't read my own handwriting, can't see the evidence on the screen. Um, I got sent these by Foster Grant. They're the Sofia Vergara design. So these are also like under $40, and I am obsessed with them. Everybody should get them. They're so good. Okay, let me see what else. Did I miss any of these? Smashing it, Lauren. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, big R's that you see. AK, you see how we're giving it up. K block could never. I don't know what that means. Can someone let me know? I'm not
K
sure what
Block.
K block and R block mean. Um, oh yeah, no, not expensive. Thank you so much though.
Yo.
Uh, you guys are so funny. Um, yeah, it feels good to get the gum out of my mouth. That was gross.
Chat, y'all are the greatest. I'm telling y'all.
Check my email in a second to see if a note came back. And what I would really like, and I don't know how to do this exactly or how to get, I mean, after the Karen Reed trial was over, I saw people like tweet and say, if you're a juror, hit me up. I know that there's a guy that is in charge of all.
I'm gonna talk to her about that. I think we could do a collab. Lauren, I got a check for you. We get that first exclusive juror interview. You're in there. You're seeing them jurors. Get it? We run it on the academy. You feel me? And listen.
But Mike from K Town, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you.
Jamie
And
Joe,
yes,
thank
thank you,
you.
Dizzy. Dizzy is
Kobe K,
great.
thank
Dizzy
you.
knows everything about every case. Give her a follow on Twitter. Dizzy, what's your if you are interested in criminal cases, she's got every.
Oh, by the way, happy Canadian Day. Ooh, I gotta call all my Canadian friends. Ooh, shit.
So welcome for going live. I see your comments. And also, yes, there's Dizzy's handle is Hey Dizzy. Give her a follow on X. She's really good. And yes, I see. So I was gonna say that I do see a lot of the comments on YouTube, and I don't respond to all of them because at the end of the day, my fingers have been hurting from notes. But you guys have been so nice, and there's been some like hard days, I would say, and there's been some days that it's felt pretty exhausting. It's felt I don't know, like a little weird, but your comments have been just so nice. So thank you. Say my channel's name. Oh, Repo is live in the chat straight from AK Lauren. Oh, thank you so much. That's so nice. Say my channel's name. It is Pop Crime TV. Pop Crime TV. Thank you so much. So yeah, don't forget to sub and like for more cases and more coverage after this. Um, let me see. I know Dizzy is the closest that I kind of have to a mod at this second. Oh hey MJ, MJ you're amazing too. I would say MJ is also pretty close to what you've heard as a whole. But once you read the law and the instructions, you're like, oh shoot, this is harder. Oh thank you so much King Buck. Um,
King
but what I
Buck.
will say again, and I said this yesterday on Academics' show, and I think I've said this before. Number one, if the jury feels like a certain witness, their testimony is just not reliable, they can toss that out. They can toss everything they said out, which, I had spoken about Capricorn Clark. I think that I was so, I don't think, yeah, I don't think in my entire history of following trials, which has only been a couple of years, I have never changed my mind so much between a direct examination and a cross examination. I will tell you, Capricorn Clark, during her direct examination, for the most part, I was like, wow, this is an incredibly important witness for the government. She just made things very complicated for the defense. And then when Agnifilo did his cross, I was like,
For
oh,
beautiful. Thank you for
wow.
that. Thank you for
He
that
just
comment too.
really made me think about everything she said as a whole, because he got her to say certain things that she was like, well, actually, I don't really remember. And then during his summation, when he put it all together at how she remembered this car chase in vivid detail. I mean, he read through the transcript, vivid detail, but Kid Cudi and the cop who was there had no recollection of it at all. I was like, oh my gosh, well, if she remembered that in vivid detail and nobody else remembered anything, that's number one. Number two, the whole thing about Lauren London.
By the way, I said this before, and I'm doubling down on it. I know Young Thug got on X and called Kid Cudi a snitch, but I actually can't tell if I don't think Kid Cudi went up there to help Cassie. I don't think he hates Cassie, but I think he looks back at that period and he's probably a little bit bitter about it on both sides. In reality, he was in a love triangle and he got eaten up and chewed up, pause, by Cassie and Diddy for a little bit. But in reality, his shit got broken. His house got broken into. Cassie wasn't paying him back for nothing. Cassie was just like, oh, that's Puff. Cassie supposedly gave the address to his house to Puff, right? You heard what he said on the stand. At the end of the day, she played us both. I have to believe that she that Kid Cudi, I don't think Kid Cudi went up there to send Diddy to jail. I think he went up there to speak his piece. But if anything, I think his testimony helped Diddy. Now, granted, I want to be fair. Like, did he say, yeah, I asked Sean about the car? Yeah, but he could have lied. He could have said, yeah, Sean told me, yeah, I did that. And what, Playboy? You know what he said? Diddy told him, what car?
Possibly being on the phone when she called Cudi Cassie, and then also the gun thing being in question. She told Lauren London Cudi, even though he was on his way over to Diddy's house or his house with Diddy in there. That just made me rethink her entire testimony, and I think where that could help the defense if the jury felt the same way. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they to forced labor, which is the whole, she was owed overtime and Diddy ripped up this $80,000 note that she was owed. And again, I'm more inclined to believe that the overtime, like that probably did happen. However, based on everything else she said, is the jury going to say, well, I don't know, none of this stuff was reliable. But so that's where I'm thinking, certain witnesses could, for the defense, or I'm sorry, for the government, could actually help Diddy if their entire testimony, the witness or the jury thinks that it wasn't great anyway. So let me see. Let me see.
Lindell, see you out here.
Thank you, guys. You're so nice. You're so nice. You're so nice. Lauren, the Karen Reed verdict. Oh.
See, chat, let me tell you this. And I'm gonna tell you another reason why I like, showing love to smaller creators. When you do this, trust me, as a smaller creator, when you're grinding, you start developing a little resentment because like you may have reached out to people or whatever. It kills the potential hater in you. Trust, right? Because somebody fucks with you and somebody try to help you, and it just gives you encouragement. So I love what you guys are doing, and I just want to tell you guys thank you from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate you guys. Obviously I had a little funny comments in there, but you guys made me look amazing, and I'm always proud of the audience we have. Trust me, like I wear y'all on my back, and obviously y'all y'all rep me to the fullest. So I appreciate you guys. Love you guys. All right. Anyway, all right. I'm gonna play access to a couple more tweets. We are gonna not only focus on this, especially as lunchtime comes around. I'm gonna text Lauren. I'm gonna tell him like we don't have to what do you call it again? We don't have to do something before the end of the court day. Like, you know what I mean? Shit, I work 20 hours anyway. It's fine. So we could do it after court. I'll still do an 8-hour live stream, right? So I'm gonna stream until 5, right?
So nice. What is this? Thank you. Cobby K. That's an just wondering. Let me know if this was OJ targeted after.
By the way, it was very well. She was in the main courtroom, but apparently in the overflow room. So remember the names, the victims or potential victims that went by pseudonyms. There was no box covering their face. You could see them. You know who they are. So this anonymity thing is I think it was a apparently even in the overflow room, which had cameras that would show what was going on in the main courtroom, there's no censoring, so you would be able to see these people. And you know what I was shocked them? They said that when they would play the freak off tapes, you would hear light moans, like you could hear the moans because they were coming through the headphones. So I'm like, oh shit. So obviously they didn't show like the fucking, but you would be able to hear like, oh, okay, they're doing some stuff, which is interesting.
Was this, and my opinion on that is OJ wasn't targeted, no, but during sentencing, I mean, did they want to throw the book at him? I'm sure, because look to the front of the building. I probably have crap all over my. All right, so I'll be back later.
Okay, perfect. All right, shout out to her.
In the jury room.
Once again, Verdict Watch people.
What is a pretty bland room.
In a few minutes here, I'm gonna go cover if you are interested in the Drake and UMG situation. They were also in federal court yesterday, but they were arguing over a motion to dismiss. I'll give you some updates on that and what it means for both sides. And then obviously, like, listen, I know I feel like I'm a ghetto lawyer, but we're also going to cover some regular hip-hop topics. So if you do have some other regular hip-hop topics, please send them over. I also see some streamer beef happening. I seen the DDG beefing with Reggie and stuff like that. I don't know, we might touch on that too. But again, we are on Verdict Watch, so we're going to have some time. It's only so much we could regurgitate some of the same stuff, even though there's a lot we could dig up. Let me show you the messages, right? Remember I read some messages, and I got these messages while I was on air live. I want to read it to you. So these were messages from Cassie to Puff, and basically, this idea that Cassie was like, she's 19 and she met Puff, and when she met Puff, Puff is like, give me 1 second here. Like, Puff is basically just taking advantage of her, and he's emotionally, abusing her to the point that she's like, she feels she can't leave, this and third. Even though, by the way, I brought up the point where I think it was either Capricorn or me, it was said to her like, yo, you should leave that nigga Puff. And she said, well, who am I going to leave him for? Like, Jay-Z already got a girl, which you could tell she was thinking about, obviously, someone that had that type of fame and notoriety. Like, you want to read these for me? Cassie, like, Diddy was calling her out, like, yo, you're doing this thing where you're like a fucking. Let's read it, chat, right? So check this out. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Cool. So this is kind of like after Diddy kind of broke up with her, right? When did Kim Porter die? So Kim Porter died in November. Okay. So I guess they were kind of on the outs at that point, because Kim Porter died in November 15, 2018. And this message is from September. But you got to remember that year of 2018, this is when she's starting to cheat with the trainer, right? She's cheating with the trainer in 2018, right? Now, keep in mind, this is like 6 years after she's done cheated with Kid Cudi. So this idea that Cassie is like a woman who doesn't know how to leave or who's so loyal that she just Diddy's all she knows, and they love to throw this word around like, yo, you groomed her. So you groomed her, so like she can't leave. Like she's like mentally just enslaving to you. Cassie's kind of still doing just. This is Cassie saying, tired? She says, no. She says, Diddy says, yay. She says, I'm not. Fahim, wait out front for you. She says, okay, be there in 25 minutes. Okay. Then let's look at the time here. So it looks like, wow, they were going somewhere. This is probably Eastern time. They were going somewhere. I guess in LA. Is Catch a Club or something like that, or a restaurant? Anyway, whatever. Then she messages, pretty much the next day. We could tell clearly this is the next. Is it the next day? Yeah, next day. The next day, because this is an AM. Now this is PM. I had a lot of fun with you. She's referring to last night. Thank you for the night. I told myself I didn't want anything to happen. Right? So she's saying, and I believe this might be the night that she then testified that she considered it rape. She says, I told myself I didn't want anything to happen, but I'm not tripping on it. I know you aren't either. I'll let you know what I talk about with my publicist. I'll keep you posted on that. I love you. Then he texts back an hour later, right? Shaking my head. She says, question mark, question mark. Look like she sends him an emoji or some type of picture. And then Diddy says, so you're going to ignore the fact that whoever so-and-so was FaceTiming you while I'm making love to you. Guess who that person is? Her husband. You worrying about me having friends, and it's apparent that you have friends. It's crazy. Then you want to act like it didn't happen. She says, I really didn't know who that was. I looked at it this morning and I still don't know. So I blocked it. I get weird calls often, even if they're locked in. I know you do too. And I'm not acting like it didn't happen. I remember. So she's saying, I remember this moment. She said, I really had a good time with you. She said, that's all I wanted to say. I know we did this. It's always been a nigga fucking up our shit. Always. You act like this broken-hearted angel, and you're just not. The question is, who are you? And that is like, if I'm the defense team during the trial, I would have been on this shit the whole time. Diddy's calling her out for her shit. He's been saying, yeah, we've been having this talk. It's so I'm trying to figure out who the fuck are you? Now they redacted part of it. And it says, for 1 second, I felt love and affection for us. But as usual, there's always another nigga. And you questioning me about girls that ain't FaceTiming me at 3. So I guess Cassie, she says she's insanely jealous. She's always asking, who's this? Who's that? Who's this? Who's that? Diddy's in the guts, beating it up. And he sees the FaceTime go off. Who the fuck is that? But she saves him under her name. The name she says, you're going to hear what name it's under. So he says, after all this time, remember, this is now, they've been together for 11 years. After all this time, you are still lying. You need to stop living your lie. If I'm the prosecutor, I take this and I blow it up. Not a prosecutor, I'm the defense attorney. I blow it up. Cassie was just a manipulator like Puff. They were both on some shit. You hear what Diddy says to her. You need to stop living your lie. It was almost like Diddy saying, all right, you've caught me in all my bullshit. My bullshit's out there. I got to live my truth with you. Yeah, you know about her. But with you, you act like you just me. That's cap. That's cap. She says, you're taking this way too far. That ain't true at all. I can't even be defensive with it because there's nothing to defend. I don't know who that was. I don't have niggas at all. Oh my God, the biggest lie that I've ever heard been told. I ain't got no hoes, huh? Biggest lie, Chad. Biggest lie. She said, I don't have no niggas. No niggas. And I was saying thank you for last night because I enjoyed it. Hear what Diddy says. And you could tell. And this is why I would also focus on this chat. But you have to put it in the context of they're in a toxic relationship. She's loving hard and he's loving hard. We're not defending the abuse, but they're both loving extremely fucking hard. You get what I'm saying? Listen to how Diddy says to her after that. Because she's just, you could tell. Yo, you ever look back at message between two people and you can be like, oh, this person cares a lot or they're in their feelings while this other person don't care? One liner, you can tell she's just trying to get past it. Look what, you could tell Diddy's a little bit hurt, right? As much of a monster as we hear he is, he's hurt. He says, hopefully you can understand how I feel. It was one of the best nights we've had in years. It's unfortunate I had to see that. And you gonna act like you got no idea who you loaded into your phone. Remember, the number that called FaceTime was a saved number. It wasn't a random number. It is what it is. Stop playing the ain't until that happened. But I guess it wasn't meant to be. Thank you for last night. Have a great day. Look, she don't respond in an hour. You know one of them ones, chat, where you try to drop mic, but you expecting your toxic partner to come back and because toxic relationships are like this. Like when one is letting go, the other pushes hard to keep you, right? This is like, everybody knows what I'm talking about. Every toxic relationship, the moment one stops caring, the other cares the most to keep you in the cycle. And it's a tug, it's a back and forth tug. So he texts that. That means, yo, I'm hurt. All right, you got it. Cassie's supposed to come back, but you can tell Cassie's kind of mentally moving on. You know, they say with women move on mentally before they move on physically. Well, yeah. Wait, did I get it right? Yes. Because, yeah, she fucked him, but she want to be with this other guy now. So she's not, she would love, remember when she was texting Diddy in 2011? I showed you those messages. Mad text. Diddy text her one word. She texted Diddy 5 times. Diddy text her one word. Diddy, we gotta answer my super alert. Super. It's like, yo, he's like, whatever alert you got, it need to be on some extra alert for me. Diddy hits her, an hour later, no message. You know, he's staring at his phone every time he get, is that That ain't Cassie, gang. That's not Cassie. That's not Cassie. So now he hits back an hour later. Do you have a response? My boy's hurting. Real players get hurt. Real players get hurt. That's true. Then he even says it. That shit hurt. Yo, my boy, he's in his feelings. Look, this is how you know it's kind of over. She hits him with a one-word answer. It's the direct flip of what he was doing to her when she was begging for his love. Wrong. That's it. My nigga wrote a paragraph. He wrote a paragraph. Triple texted. She just said wrong. That's it. That's it. Oh, you know one of them ones. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts, Chad. It hurts. Diddy was going through it. His stomach probably felt like he had diarrhea. You don't know what's going on. Look Diddy's next section. Wrong what? Diddy's triple texting now. You don't understand where I'm coming from? Trust me. I understand more than you know, but what am I wrong about it? My boy is hurt. His stomach is intertwined. Pause. He's needing some clarification from Shorty. She been fucking a lot of dudes. He said, what am I wrong about? And then typical toxic relationship shit. She, instead of explaining who the nigga that was FaceTiming her when she's getting, she gaslights him and names his bitches. What about Gino? What about Jocelyn? Who the fuck is Jocelyn? Who's Jocelyn, Chad? Who's Jocelyn? Holy. What about Jordan? Typical gaslighter. He trying to figure out who's that man. She says, you wrong about that. That's a random number. So Diddy's like, how's a random number? It's a random number, but it's in your phone. How that make sense? Make this make sense to me. So now she's like, let's talk about Gina, Jocelyn, Jordan. By the way, Chad, I think I found a 19-year-old. You want me to see it? You want me to show y'all? Well, she was 19 at the time. She's obviously not 19 now. But that was with Daphne. Daphne caught. Hold on, let me see if I'm gonna show y'all. I'm gonna show y'all real quick. It's not the girl who we actually put up. It ain't the girl we put up low key. Because that girl was like 25 type shit. 25 or pushing 30 type. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you. Y'all wanna see her? I got it. Trust. I got it, chat. And I'm gonna get back to reading the message. Don't worry. Wait, where the fuck is this? Hold on. Give me 1 second. Just give me a second. I'm gonna find it. What the hell? Here we go. Okay, I got it. I found her at name chat. This is her. And I ain't gonna lie. Diddy had the show. This nigga had the lineup. This is Shorty. Oh my sweet Jesus. Obviously, she was younger then. So this was actually I think she's like she just like turned 21. Like she young still. But this is her. This is her. This is her. This is her chat. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you the proof. I'm gonna show you the proof. You know, I got it. You know, I got it in 10K for y'all. I got it in 10K. I got it in 10K for y'all. Hold on, chat. That's her. Hold on. Here we go. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna get it. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Wait. All right. Here we go. Bingo. This is her ass right here. Her and Diddy. Her and Diddy. She wished him, she said, happy more life. Let me see. Let me zoom in a little bit. Happy birthday to my twin flame. More life. This is her and Diddy. Won't lie, he went young. He went young. She was 35. She was 35. Actually, no, she was like 37. It was 37. And all of a sudden, she looked up. Diddy's over here piping her out, bro. It's a cold world out here. It's a cold world. It's a cold world. It was a cold world, chat. It's a cold world. It's cold world. Cold world. It's a cold world, chat. It's a cold world. That's why Daphne said you a PDF. You a PDF. Nah. Diddy was hitting it when she 19. PDF. That's why she said that. Now, granted, just to be clear, it was all legal, but Daphne was pushing 40. Holy. I don't think she got no Diddy stuff on there. It's a very cold world. Holy. This is her name right here. I think some people figured it out. Or didn't they? Apparently Liam Payne used to date her too. Look at this. Look at this. Lipstick Alley be having the tea. Look. It's a 21-year-old groupie. I don't know. I'm not a groupie, but yeah. Anyway. Yo, Diddy was getting him still. I can't even lie. Diddy was getting him. We got to keep it a beam. Diddy was getting him. She scrubbed her Instagram on anything Diddy related. She scrubbed her Instagram on anything Diddy related. Not gonna cap with y'all. Holy. All right. All right, cool. So anyway, Jordan. And then Diddy says, baby, stop playing the hurt angel role. Please. Boogie. I think, wait, is this A Boogie? No, it can't be no A Boogie. A Boogie? Or is it Boogie Cousins? Wait. Who's Boogie? That's a basketball player, I think. They call DeMarcus Cousins Boogie. Yeah, I think DeMarcus Cousins was hitting Cassie. Oh, no. Boogie. Cuddy. Michael B. Jordan. Dre. Pro B-ball player. A dyke bum bitch. Kiki. It don't stop. And it don't stop. And it don't stop. Holy. Stop playing Angel. You know, and then hear what she says. You know Boogie's Lauren, right? Oh, no. Never mind. The name that called that night was Boogie. My bad. Sorry. No. Sorry. No. Chat, let me correct it. Let me bring it back. My bad. No. Yeah, only Dre was the pro basketball player. No. It wasn't Boogie Cousins. Boogie, I forgot. I'll tell you what the name on the phone was. The name on the phone was Boogie Batman. That was the name on the phone. Boogie Batman. And I don't know why that was the name, but it was Boogie Batman. So I don't know why, but that was Alex Fine. That's her current husband. So when Diddy's doing his thing, he looks over, her phone's lighting up, and it's somebody named Boogie Batman. So Diddy's throwing it back at her in the argument saying, yo, you got a whole bunch of dudes. Boogie Batman, which is her husband, Cuddy, Michael B. Jordan, Dre, the pro basketball player, and some dyke-ass bum bitch Kiki. Say, don't stop. Stop playing Angel. So she's not lying to Diddy. She's lying to Diddy. Yo, no, whoa, hey, hold on, wait a minute. You know Boogie's Lauren, right? I'm not playing Angel. I just don't think it's any of your business. And this is when you realize, I believe that she started gaining some type of autonomy. And probably Diddy wasn't paying for as much with her anymore. Because in 2011, she wouldn't say to Diddy, it ain't none of your business who calls my phone. In fact, she would tell people, remember, Capricorn Clark told her, you need a burner phone. You need a burner phone because the phone you got, that's Diddy's phone. So she didn't have an autonomy of like to be able to say to Diddy, no, that's none of your business. Everything with her was Diddy's business. But in 2018, she was saying that to Diddy. Man, ain't none of your business who called my phone. I had a nice night with you. I'm going to leave it at that. I ain't even going to try to make your head spin to make you feel like how I've felt before. Oh, my God. Yo, she knows she got Diddy. She know Diddy ready to crash out. She know she got Diddy ready to crash out. Dre was Andre Drummond? You think so? No. Batman Boogie was a name that was saved. She testified to this on the stand. She saved her current husband's name as that name on that phone, and she testified that her husband called while Diddy and her were getting down. She testified to that. So Diddy says, oh, now it's Lauren. Wow. Have a nice day, Cass. Now you playing me. All good, but it was a great night. She says, okay, YouTube. You can tell it's on Diddy's mind. He can't get it off. Diddy says, it's Lauren? Wow. Shaking my head. You killing me. She says, and Jocelyn is there for Dallas in Burning Man and in Miami for Justin. I don't know what that means. And she says, no, nigga, you killing me. Yo, you can see Cassie is throwing it back now. Cassie, like, pause. She's getting her jabs back at him. Diddy says, I love you, but that crushed me. When you coming back to get your clothes? I want to make out. So Diddy was an interesting guy. Like, he was just mad 30 minutes before that she was clearly, she's involved with other people. But now he's saying, I want to make out. She says, LOL. She said, man, that shit was great until that point. Music sounds dope. You look great. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. Says, thank you. So what did you wear home? PJ pants, a beater, and some Ugg slippers. Diddy says, but why did you leave, though? I ain't gonna lie. My feelings are really hurt. No need to respond. What's done is done. I'm trying not to get depressed. So Diddy's telling her, yeah, I feel hurt. He says, I love you. She says, no need to get depressed. I left because I was up and I needed to get it together for my trip home tonight. I love you. Remember, Cassie at this point is juggling two men. Cassie's juggling two men. What was dishonest about Cassie's testimony is this. She claims she only left. She only left because she heard Diddy talk about Kim Porter. And when he spoke about Kim Porter at the funeral, saying that that was his true soulmate, she says she felt crushed. What she didn't admit is that she was falling in love with another man. And the other guy was Alex Fine, which is her current husband. She never admitted that. She claimed like, oh no, Diddy had me under his control until I realized I wasted 11 years with him. Diddy says, my feelings are hurt because of the FaceTime. It's like we can never just have a great time. Fuck it. It just hurts. That's all. I love you. Have a safe trip.
It gives you an idea of the environment that these jurors are in as they're trying to figure out the fate of Sean Combs. We do have a super chat question coming in once again from Kelly Bezick. We appreciate you so much for sending your second super chat question of the day. Serena, Mark Agnifalo's narrative, lifestyle choice, etc., mirrors his defense for Keith Raniere, who
a possibility in cases like this.
I mean, the top.
or the other.
They're
So I
outside
think
court.
that could possibly be why there's so much back and forth between the attorneys. Maybe it's a more sort of general question that the jurors are asking. And we've seen that come up. You know, again, they've asked for information about the drug charges, and that goes more towards the racketeering case.
Yeah, and we can talk about the other questions too, because this is not the first juror question we've had so far. This seems like a very active jury. If you were asking me, I would say they're definitely talking through some of the issues, which is a positive thing, right? We're at almost 7.5 hours of deliberation that we have going here, and they do have a lot of questions. So I think you made a good point, Elizabeth, about this open dialogue. And we do have some more questions, by the way, from our viewers. So this is a great question. Spencenable says, why no cameras inside the court? And it's interesting, those of you who have been following along, our girl Anjanette Levy asked me this question yesterday, and I said, I don't know. I mean, all I know is that federal courts don't allow it, but I don't know the answer to that. Why? I should have asked a question. And so thankfully, our producers, Alex and Jordan, have sent me a response. It sounds like the federal rule of Criminal Procedure 53. Now, this rule prohibits photography or broadcasting of judicial proceedings in criminal cases. And I mean, this is true, something that we've seen. Some states don't even allow cameras at all, including New York, where I am right now. So even if it's a state case separate from federal, they don't allow cameras. Now, other states, like my home state of Wisconsin, they allow cameras streaming all the time, you know, depending on the trial. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Really good question, though. And I'm glad I'm educating myself. I'm learning with you guys throughout all of this, right? Now, another one of our questions from our viewers, Kenny Alexandra, she asks, what would be the worst case scenario if in prison? I mean, what do you think, Elizabeth? That's right. The top charge, the worst he could face is
let me keep going.
Life behind bars, right?
That's right. Yeah. And keep in mind also, it's hard to imagine because he just has always sort of had this more youthful kind of partying persona, but Sean Combs is in his 50s. He might be 55. Don't quote me on the exact age, but yeah, exactly. So if he's convicted on these charges with that amount of time and where he's at in his life, he could face the rest of his life in prison. You know, so that would be the worst case scenario. Some might say worst case scenario could also be a potential retrial because, you know, having to have prosecutors and defense attorneys and even Sean Combs go through all of this a second time, that's just a nightmare situation for any court case. You know, prosecutors want to be able to nail this, hopefully on the first try. So it could also be worst case scenario for Sean Combs is facing the rest of his life in prison. Worst case scenario possibly for some of the other people involved is that this has to go to a retrial, which again is very preliminary. There's no evidence that that's going to happen. It's just, you know, it's always a slight possibility in cases like this.
I mean, the top he could face is life in prison. But even if there is kind of a mixed verdict or a split and he doesn't, he still, to your point, Elizabeth, you're right. He is 55 years old. And we've seen that a year arrested. And so can you imagine even a couple decades behind bars, even if it's not the rest of his life? I do think mentally, physically, that's got to take a toll on you. So the amount of prison time, whether it's life or even decades, that is rough. And also the next point, worst case scenario, this retrial, we have so many questions about this. The possibility there could be a hung jury, there could be a mistrial, and thus a retrial. And I'm going to go on for another one of our viewer questions. This is from Demel Elliott. Question: if he wins, can he return as CEO for Ciroc Liquor and other businesses? Okay, interesting. I thought I was going in the way of mistrial or retrial, which we'll get to in a minute, but I guess let's ask about this. Ciroc Liquor and other businesses. What do you think, Elizabeth? Now, I know he had stepped down originally from these things, but if he's acquitted, I mean, can he just go back to his life from before?
Right. Okay. So that's fully acquitted of all charges. You know,
You ain't never going back to that, man. You don't need to do all that with it. Yo, now Unc brought up a good point yesterday when I was sitting with Lauren Conlon and Unc, right? What Unc said is that, yo, act, man. And I take Unc, you see, Unc like a play. I could tell. Unc used to get them joints back in the day. I think he's still, not gonna lie, I see Unc doing calisthenics, all type of stuff. Y'all been on his Instagram? Unc be going crazy. Like Unc on some stuff. Look. Yeah, he got an Instagram. Where's his Instagram, man? Is it this? Nah, yeah, right here. Man, Unc on that junk. Look, Unc on that junk working out like he's still in prison.
Early in the morning.
7:39. Unc, shit, I'm telling you, Unc been training for a freak off himself. You know, Unc been training. You heard what Unc said? He said, man, after he heard about the heated baby, he said, want to go cops him. Yo, Unc about to climb fences. He doing all type of stuff. Unc is doing his thing out here, man. Unc is doing his thing. Now, he brought up a good point. And this is where I think men and women that probably watch this case look at it differently. It's like he said, yo, Act, let me tell you this, man. And I'm not lying to you. I watched this case. Diddy was cracking everything. He was hitting everything. All these women wanted to be his girl. Whether they were an employee, whether they were a friend of his, one of the girls he's knocking down. These girls wanted to be his main girl. Now, let's think about the people. Capricorn Clark. I didn't realize that she used to be like super like crushing on him. Okay. Mia says Diddy, she never had consensual sex with Diddy. Diddy raped her. She never testified to consensual sex. Unc said, yo, man, she was on his body. She was saying she wanted to, like, she was flirting with him this entire time. And also, you could see through the messages, basically, they probably hooked up already. Also, the rape don't make sense of her because Diddy said to her one time when she was acting up, if you don't call me back in 10 minutes, I'm finna tell Cassie what we did. That doesn't sound like a nigga who's saying, oh, I'm about to confess the rape to Cassie. He's saying, I'm about to tell Cassie that we've been smashing behind her back and you're Cassie's friend. Now, I'm going to tell you why that's important. Because I do have some messages here. Let me see. Here's a message. And if you see how Mia texts Diddy, it don't seem like just a coworker. And to my chat queens in here, I want to ask y'all this question. Remember, Diddy's dating Cassie. Mia is Cassie's, like, one of her main friends. If, as a chat queen, if your friend is texting your man like this, what would you say? And let me make sure I pull up the chat that I could see the comments. I got to see the comments. I got to see the comments on this. I'm about to read it. But this is how Mia was texting Diddy. Give me 1 second. All right, we got it pulled up right here. All right, good. Let's see how Mia was texting Diddy. Check this out. Mia to Diddy. Hold on, let me make this a little bit bigger. Bunch of heart emojis. Let me see. Hold on. Make it a little bit bigger. Clearly, you didn't tell him what I said. Merry Christmas. I'm glad my shit is happening on this day exactly, which is everything I'm talking about. Enjoy. She says, morally psychotic, but at least I never betray nobody. Then Diddy says, stop. Seriously, I swear to God. He wasn't awake at all yesterday when I got back. And for the hour you've been up today on Christmas, he's been with his family. I was only trying to help you. I don't need you to say shit like that to me on Freak G Christmas. Sorry for trying to help in the first place. I don't know what they're talking about. Diddy says, I'm done trying to help anyone ever. It only backfires. I've literally done nothing but be there and supportive since you told me. This is effing ridiculous. Now I'm going to go back to working on this family-less Christmas I'm living. I'm done trying to help anyone ever. It only backfires. Okay, it's the same message twice. 3 times. And then she says, this is not ridiculous. I'm saying I'm being betrayed and backstabbed. You should watch out for yourself so it doesn't happen to you. And if you're swearing you never helping me again, then that's not really nice whatsoever, since I've always been there to help you. And I know the feeling because I've been there multiple times, and trust me, it gets you nowhere. I don't want this shit for you, for anyone else. I just want you to be my friend, not some shitty coworker. I want you to be my friend. And just try to remember what that means. It doesn't backfire from me. It doesn't even stem from me. I'm the one who ain't ever did nothing wrong. And not in the wrong here. None of this was from me. I've always been your friend, Puff. But if you're telling him stuff and he coming back and saying things like, I didn't even tell you, Christina. Oh, I didn't even, well, who else, Christina? Because Mia is Sarah Schnecker, I believe. Like, he tells you everything, but it turns around and you say you don't know what's going on. I'm confused. I'm just fucking confused. And I don't know who to trust no more, and I don't want to be in a shitty situation. I never asked for it. I love you. Merry Christmas. I love you. I love you. He says, I just feel like you're attacking me with those texts, and I've done nothing but be there for you through all of this. She says, no, I'm not. I'm not spiraling. There's a difference. I'm in wonky town in my brain, and I'm so sorry if you felt that way. I'm going through an insane time, and I didn't mean for it to come off that way. Also, I just saw you called while I took a food break. I'll call you right after. I love you. I just got my Christmas present. I love you. Thank you for it. I love it. It makes me happy because it's from you. Yo, chat, man. It feels like all these women, in one way or the other, it appears that these women all had some type of love or infatuation with Diddy. My man Unc is live. We about to go check out Unc. Where Unc at? Where Unc at? I know Unc about to be live. Where he at? You gotta break this down. Unc gotta break this one down, man. But yeah, what do those messages say, man? What do those messages say? What the hell? The Bucks waived Damian Lillard? Wow, that's crazy. All right, Unc is live.
Get a video a thumbs up. Double tap that screen right there. Tyrese with the T. I'm gonna shout out everybody that sent me the Cash App joint. Diva by Design, thank you for lunch. John Akins, Sidebar. Tori Love, thank you. Ebony Sideberry, thank you. Nuridian Mohammed, thank you. And Bullet Z Gotti. Shout out to DJ Academics. Send this video to Academics.
We over here, Unc.
Shout out to Academics.
I'm about to text him right now.
Shout out to Academics, man.
Tapped in, Unc.
Check Sean G out.
Tapped in.
Okay. Let me know what time you want me to come through. So look. Let's get this straight right off the bat, man. Let's get this straight right off the bat. Let's get this straight right off the bat.
There we go. Dark skin Jermaine. I see up in
Dark
there.
skin Jermaine, thank you. I walked up here today.
BLG, what up?
Sidebar.
Sidebar.
I'm finna call a sidebar right now. Early, right off the bat. It's a sidebar. Check my man with his hat out. My man got his suspenders with his hat. Check him out, y'all.
This thing is so New York.
My man, I see you. I see you. I walked up here from the train. I get to the court. I got 1, 2, 3, 4 different versions of what happened this morning.
Yo, he got a toothpick in his mouth like Diddy?
Somebody told me juror number 25 is voting not guilty of Puff and his mind can't be changed. Then somebody said juror number 25 is voting guilty for Puff and his mind can't be changed. 2 diametrically opposed opinions. Then they talked about there was a big argument this morning with the defense and the judge about the drug distribution instructions and what that means. I'm gonna say this. I don't know what's going on in the jury room. Don't no other YouTuber, no other TikToker, no other Instagram, they don't know what's going on in the jury room because we not in the jury room. The assistant U.S. attorneys don't know what's going on in the jury room. Puffy's defense don't know what's going on in the jury room. The judge don't nobody know what's going on in the jury room but them 12 jurors. So anybody out here prognosticating, hypothesizing, conjecturing, pontificating on what's going on in the jury room, they telling a lie. They telling a lie. And they perjuring themselves. And they putting these thumbnails up and these video titles up to draw y'all in. They don't know. No, they don't.
I'm too good.
They don't know. They don't know. We all sitting around, Ravens fan, we all sitting around don't nobody know nothing. Until the jury come out and speak, you don't know nothing, I don't know nothing. Don't nobody know nothing. Especially y'all out there with the fake profiles. Y'all definitely don't know nothing. If you not here in the jury room, you don't know what's going on in the jury room. I'm here. I don't know what's going on. Don't nobody know. All we could do is wait. That's all we could do is wait. Don't nobody know. So I ain't got nothing to report. Showing a broke felon repeat clothes on the daily. Your girl like these clothes, sucker. Fake profile boy. Don't nobody know. And remember, you watch me, I don't watch you. And your girl bought some baby oil for us. Fake boy.
Nah.
There's nothing we could do. But wait.
Nah,
I have nothing to report. I don't know what's going on. Don't nobody know. You can sit around and guess and do all of that, but it means absolutely zero. Hit that likes up. Puffy came in the courtroom. He got on like a cream color sweater. Put his glasses on. Amia Estevao came and sat next to him. They're going over everything. Mark Agnifilo is standing at the corner of the table with Nicole Westmoreland, Brian Steele, Alexander Shapiro is standing over there. Alexander Shapiro got her B-boy stance like this. She chilling like this. She ready to jump on somebody. Jason Driscoll on his laptop. Xavier Donaldson on his laptop. All the assistant U.S. attorneys in the front, they all sitting down on their laptops. They don't know. Don't nobody know. Shut up. Shut up. Don't nobody know. Shut your mouth. You don't know what's going on in there. Talking to everybody. The only people that's know what's going on, the 12 jurors. Shut up. Shut up. And she came around. No, you don't know either. Come in. All right, you shut up. Go. Now, don't tell me I have no great day. Tell me I don't know nothing. You don't know nothing either.
Yo,
Uncle. Don't try to tell me I don't know nothing. I don't, as far as the jury.
Yo, this nigga Uncle finna slap somebody up in here, man.
Anna Estevao, what's up, man? Picked up her laptop and
Yo, you know Uncle ready to slap a nigga, right? Now I gotta get some liquor. I gotta drink, yo. Yo, this time, me and Uncle, we gotta take some shots together.
Queen for life, Jamil, Walk on Wood, Stan Oraglow, Anthony Logistics.
Is it me or? I think it's me.
He waved to her. The prosecution team is hoping for guilty, and the defense team is hoping for not guilty. That's it. That's it. That's it. Ain't nothing left to talk about witnesses, testimony, sidebars, none of that. Immunity agreements, all that's over with. We're waiting on the jury. It's in the hands of the jury. It's in the hands of the jury. Nothing you can do.
Go ahead,
What do you want from me?
I'm rocking with you,
You want me to just come out here and just lie and anything? That ain't this kind of channel. Check me out. Hold up. Gotta wipe my sweat.
Oh, man.
This John Blaze out here. So that's where we're going on. No excitement. People are outside wiping their sweat. There's no excitement. People in the overflow just to use the air conditioner because it's like 200 degrees out here. You understand? That's it.
Yo, how y'all get a tie emoji? YouTube.
What you want from me? What you want from me? Terry Ritter, sidebar. What's my opinion? My opinion is not guilty. Not guilty on all counts. If I'm on the jury, it's not guilty on all counts. Not guilty. But that's me. I'm not in there. There's reasonable doubt all over this case. That's it. Y'all heard the testimony. Y'all heard the testimony. Share this video. I need 500 likes. Hit the like button, man. Hit the like button. I watched another dude's live today. He drinking coffee in his now. Everybody bit my style down here. Everybody bit my style. How you doing? I'm live on YouTube. You want to say hi? I'm live on YouTube. You want to say hi? I see another YouTuber. He talking about his coffee now. Whatever I do, they bite my style. Everybody bit my style. Nobody, not one person, not one YouTuber, not one TikToker, not one Instagram, not one mainstream media. When I got here, day 3 of the trial of Cassie's testimony, everybody in this courtroom was anti-Puff. Yes, they was. Yes, they was. And even if they wasn't anti-Puff, even if they was pro-Puff, they wouldn't dare say it. They wouldn't dare say it. They didn't have the courage to say it. And they took the easier, softer route, the more politically correct route, because their self-acceptance is low and they need acceptance by other people. They jumped on the bandwagon with the anti-Puff crowd. Nobody was pro-Puff. I was the only one here. I was the only one here down with Puff. And when I would come out, what's up, man? What's going on? When I would come out and go back in, people would look at me like I stink, right? They would look at me like I was deformed, right? But they couldn't do nothing because I was coming straight from the notebook. And they would sit there and study my video and look for lies, but they couldn't find none. They couldn't find none. And they said, how does he have the courage and the bravery to speak the truth about what's actually being said in the courtroom? And everybody I told, the black women, the foundational black American women, anti-Puff. The dudes, anti-Puff. Everybody anti-Puff when I first got here. Yes, they was. Yes, they was. Yes, they was. You know how I know? You know how I know? Because I was here.
I was here.
What's up,
Fix
man?
that top, Unc. Fix that top.
No.
Get right, Unc. Fix that top.
Nobody was pro-Puff.
Y'all let them know. Fix the top.
I was the only one.
Come on now.
And then, as the trial went on, and the buffoonery got greater and greater with the assistant U.S. attorneys, the blunders, the bumbling, the inexperience of the judge, witnesses getting torn to shreds, and I'm still reporting. And the narrative was this. Because I said, yo, Cassie, that's the star witness? And she turned the defense with body who was anti-puff said, yo, it's a long trial, man. Yo, this only the first week. We gonna be here 6 weeks. So they gonna save the best for last, man. They got, believe me, they got something. That's what they said.
Nah, that was true. We were hearing that.
That's what they said. So I said, all right, bet. I'm gonna keep coming to see. Another week went by. Worse and worse for the prosecution. Worse and worse. Witnesses perjuring themselves. Witnesses lying. Witnesses getting destroyed under cross-examination. I'm still going harder. My numbers is going up. Everybody in my comment section saying, yo, Sean G, ain't nobody reporting what you reporting. Everybody's saying something different and you read it from the notes. Because you got to be true to you. Authenticity is the highest vibration in the universe, and it ain't never went out of style. Integrity ain't never went out of style. Authenticity is the closest thing to God that you'll ever get. Because the true and living God is you and looks back at you in the mirror. So as the trial kept going on, and the witness testimony, the perjury and the lies couldn't be refuted, right? You can't put perfume and cologne on perjury. You can't put perfume and cologne on perjury.
Tell him, Unc. Tell him.
Can't do it.
Can't do it. Can't do it, Unc.
You can't put perfume and cologne on a lie. You can't put perfume and cologne on perjury. And I'm coming out. Y'all saw me with my notebook. My notebook was better than their notebook. I had the best notebook down here.
Talk about it.
Nobody took better notes than me. My notes were copious, meticulous, precise, accurate, concise, and to the point. Precise.
Jeez.
Indeed. Absolutely. Because I wouldn't have it no other way. I strive for perfection. I strive for excellence. That's what I do. I achieve excellence. That's what I do. Check me out. Hold up for a second. Stay right there. Don't go nowhere. Hold up.
Yo, if I order Subway, is it L Eats or W Eats? I'm ordering Subway. A Subway sandwich. Pause. No footlong. No footlong though. Pause.
Puff. But after me.
That's what I'm trying to do, bro. She not answering, bro.
After me, about the 4th or 5th week.
My mom finna make oxtail, but it's gonna take too long, bro. It's gonna be like later.
TMZ, you understand? They trying to move from the far left. They trying to move to the middle. CNN trying to move to the middle. All these other news networks trying to move to the middle. You understand? You understand? Saying like, yo, I don't know. Puff got a shot. Then all the reporters down here was going to the marshals, going to the judge. Why is he here? Because that's why. And I'm better than you. I report better than you. Now, you go mainstream media. You understand?
Wait, no? Oh, y'all are shitting on it. All right, I'm not. Somebody said, nigga, you might as what? Wait, Subway track? Okay. Damn. All right. Hold on. God damn. Nah, my mom, listen, my mom, I and like just leave when she want to. Like, I think she about to leave soon, but like my mom over here, if I got company over, I'm like, you know, like it's my house, but like my mama in the house, I'm like, you gotta keep your voice down and shit. You gotta respect your mom still, you know?
They report like,
but I think my mom be bored. I told her she retired, so she's just like, my other two brothers got wives, so I think maybe she don't just go to their house and just stay. But like I have a room here dedicated for my mom, so like she just like, I'm coming over. She's been here like, well, it was the cleanest my house ever been, but she's been here for like a week and a half still. I can't tell her to leave.
how I report. Nobody was doing that in the beginning. Nobody. Nobody
But she finna cook today. She finna cook. Yeah, she can't leave before she cook the oxtail.
was doing that. Nobody was doing that in the beginning.
Tell him, Unc.
Nobody was doing that. That was me. Hands down. Puffy's attorneys coming up to me, Sean, we watch your videos. His family, the sons, the mother. Every time I saw Miss Combs, I say all the best to you. She say, how you doing? They giving me this joint right here. They see me, they say like this. Yeah. I was the only one, the first one. First one. None of y'all had the courage, because you all followers. You all parakeets. You're a parrot. You repeat what you hear somebody else say, and you remix it. But you don't have no original thought of your own, because you abandon your true self to be accepted by others, because your self-hatred, your self-loathing, your self-rejection run deep. This shit run deep. You run deep. Who that right there? Tesla tips. It's all good, They could try to copy you, but your suit, your coffee, your sidebar still better than this. We appreciate you. You understand? Shout out to Tesla tips. Tesla tips, thank you, man. Nobody had the courage. But see, my self-esteem high.
Tell him, Unc.
My self-esteem high.
Yeah.
My self-acceptance high. My self-approval high. My self-appreciation high.
Yeah.
My self-love high. My arrogance is high.
Preach.
My conceit is high.
Let's go.
My bravery is high. My
What else?
courage is high. I stand on my own square. Stand on my own square. Stand on my own square. Stand on my own square.
Tell Unc we tapping in.
I don't need you to approve of me.
And I love y'all. And I don't take, trust me, I think he does amazing content. So I'm definitely not going to take no credit for no other man's work. But yo, when we first found Unc, he was like 400 viewers. Now he pulling 1,600 by himself. Yeah, we watching, but still, he pulling that by himself on the muscle. Shout out to Unc. Shout out to Unc. You feel me?
I need you to approve of me. I approve myself. Nobody was doing that. Nobody was doing it. No YouTubers, none of that. Everybody was anti-Puff. He guilty, he guilty, he guilty. Sean G, I said, man, I don't follow you. I don't know you. You're not as good as me. I'm not gonna follow you. I come to my own conclusion. I do my own research and come to my own conclusion. LT James, what up? I'm all right. I've been down there. You want to come say what's up, bro? Got that cigarette. What's up? You smoke cigarette? You smoke cigarette? Yeah, don't. Check the earrings out.
Getting Panda Express. I just want to eat clean a little bit, like just whatever. Cause I ate Chick-fil-A yesterday, and the thing is with I love Chick-fil-A, but the breaded chicken be killing me, bro. Like, you know, I can't do it 2 days in a row. You know, so I just need to have someone do grilled teriyaki chicken, and just white rice. You get what I'm saying? And I put a little hot sauce on it, and that's it. You know what I mean?
She got the dope earrings out. She got the dope. Back up a little bit. They lying.
We're all speculating.
We all wait.
And I'm over with the waiting.
I see you over there. Hey, LTJ. Come here, let me ask you something. When we first got here,
Yeah.
how many people, YouTubers, TikTokers, mainstream, anybody reported?
Timmy Allen, I see you, my boy. Thank you.
Oh, it was only a few. I know Sean peddling in Uchi popping.
Right. Copying the next one. I told you it was only a hand.
They weren't in the courtroom, and then they actually decided to make it to New York. A lot of their views changed once they got into that courtroom.
Right. I'll be ready.
It's different in that courtroom.
It's different in courtroom observer versus somebody sitting in the bleachers eating popcorn. Totally different. Totally different. My man Tesla Tips at. Tesla Tips, where you at? Ashley B. Yeah, listen. People, if you got, where my man Tesla Tips at? Tesla Tips, where you at? St. Petersburg, Florida, Jet Life Vacation. What up, St. Pete? 275 hour 4. Let me tell you something, man. Tesla Tips, where you at? Thank you. And let me tell you something about confidence and belief in yourself. The man or the woman that believes in his abilities is God in action. Reverend Ike said that. When you believe in your own abilities, you are God in action. A person with a low opinion of their self, a person with low self-esteem, a person with low self-esteem, like all y'all suckers with the fake profile, a person with self-hatred, no self-confidence, no self-love, no perpetually insecure, perpetually infected with fear. They're gonna be offended by Sean G. They're gonna be offended by me. We're not gonna get along. We're not gonna get along. You're gonna be offended by me because you're gonna hearken back on the lessons your second grade teacher, your third grade teacher, your sixth grade teacher, and what they told you in the Bible. The meek shall inherit the earth. Be humble, and be on the lower level of the socio-economic strata. Be humble and be a second-class citizen. Hollywood T. Thank you for your courage, bravery, authenticity, and integrity for standing up for your square. You single-handedly shifted the journalist presentation by being you, the truth, been a supporter, but more so for now, you appreciate it. Hollywood T, California. You're gonna be relegated to the welfare rolls, EBT, victim mentality. Because you don't believe in you. So when you come around me and hang around me, you're gonna be offended. Because I'm not infected with that. I used to be a long time ago. But see, what needs to be done, what's up, man? What needs to be done is, how you doing? You have to do spiritual surgery, and you have to rewire the way you think about yourself and your perception of who are arrogant or
Now, Uncas is preaching right now. Hold on. Let's get
So
back
he could try to do that, to kind of get back on boards that he was involved in. Remember, he wasn't just a rapper, a music producer, towards sort of
Their identity or keep it private, right?
Here you go.
about, possible, not necessarily discord, but, maybe one side of the jury feels one way, the other feels another. And remember, there's different charges that are on the table. The O.J. Simpson case as an example, right? It was either guilty or not guilty on the charges that were put forward, murder charge. Here, there's different aspects of play. There's the
Well, here's I think the government overcharged already. There's at times, like for example, and I don't know if you guys know this. So say a prosecutor was looking to pursue a first degree murder charge against a defendant, and let's say and they saw how the evidence bore out. There is at times where they could introduce a new charge for for the jury to consider because they think it would fit more than maybe another charge. Like for example, no, it's not first degree murder; it's actually manslaughter, and that's going to be the difference between a guilty and a not guilty verdict because first degree murder it requires intent, it requires this, it requires that. Manslaughter does not. And oftentimes you see sometimes around when they're dealing with, the charges, they'll try to introduce or want the jury to consider other charges. And that's up to the judge approval. But in this particular case, they did say they're not going to pursue with instructions on the attempted arson or attempted aiding and abetting of sex trafficking, but that's pretty much filed every fucking charge we think we could file, right? We're not looking to try to reduce this shit. We're just looking to get it done however we can, right?
Racketeering, there's, the sex trafficking.
Double G, double N, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. I appreciate you, my brother.
It could mean that maybe a decision is close, but what I think is more likely happening is that they are trying to double check certain key pieces of testimony to make sure, are we all on the same page with all of these different charges that are on the table? And that's not easy to do. There's a lot of, with all the evidence that, has gone forward and a lot of people, feel a certain way about if he should be convicted. It's a lot of charges that are on the table, and to get multiple people all on the same page, it takes time.
I agree. We're almost at 8 hours of deliberation. And I keep saying this, but I really do think that it shows that the jurors are taking their job seriously, that they're going through, they're talking things out. And by the way, that question.
Now, I think when it comes to jury and like jury selection and all that type of stuff, I think it's a slow build up. I was reading another opinion piece on, I seen a Tony Busby defamation suit actually got upheld. The motion to dismiss, they actually dismissed it, but there's a bunch of stuff that's happening in court, and I don't got to get to what's happening in the Drake case really quickly. Someone sent in 20, so I gotta respect Joe Cash, my brother. How my computer be mad slow and fast at the same time? All right, perfect. Yes. Oh, Cuzzo 3D, thank you for the 5 or 10 gifted memberships. Holy, thank you, brother. Listen, what we're gonna do, I'm trying to figure out ways how to make this membership tier. I see Adam and everybody else doing it. Y'all should know my style is just not like, shout out to my peers and I don't call them competitors, my peers, but I can't do what they do. You know what I mean? Like me, like I just feel like I look crazy if I'm like over promoting. Like, yo, sign up to be. No, I can't do that, bro. I just can't. I don't know. Damn. What the fuck? Cuzzo with another 20 gifted membership. Oh, I appreciate you, Cuzzo. Cuzzo must have got paid or he hit a lick. Let's figure out which bank he robbed or he stole the ATM, because this nigga's over here throwing the cash. I see you, my boy. Ghost General, thank you for the membership as well. Also, I'm only saying thank you for the 2. It says, notice how they keep mentioning OJ. This case is BS. Yeah, long crimes keep bringing up OJ. I wonder why. Ultra Instinct, thank you for the 20. Says, just want to show love and let you know how important your voice is for the culture. It's hard dealing with the music establishment trying to stifle your voice, but you don't let them. And that's why you're the GOAT. No glaze. Safety. Thank you, Ultra Instinct. I appreciate you. Let me tell you this. I know I would be literally the moment you guys don't show up for me, like I'm out of here. And I know I'm only here because you. First of all, I only feel like I'm in the industry because we have so many people in our community. Like I don't really feel I'm in this shit. You know what I mean? Like, but when they have to deal with you, that's the point. That's why I've always never compromised my integrity in terms of my opinion. You can never pay for that. But thank you nonetheless. Double G Double N. I shouted you out before, but thank you for 5 gifted memberships. Ghost General Show. It says act. You definitely have to sign them both. Upcoming stars. No. Yeah, I love what they're doing on this case. You know, the thing about cover trials is that I don't want to have to plan for like horrible times because like yeah, these are big cases, but like say the Tory case, the YSL case, and even this case, all cases that we've all covered. We don't necessarily want to be like, yo, somebody's going to get indicted soon or going to get killed soon and their killer is going to like, that's the thing about some of these trials is that if with music, we up in music we deal with, but it's hard kind of like either planning or having a business structure that revolves around court cases because we cover everything because we cover news, right? But that's not necessarily what we cover. But do I think Lauren Conlon and Unc are definitely amazing talents? Of course. And you know, for me, I don't never look at people like, oh, I need to sign you. I look at them as, listen, let's collaborate. And you know, again, I keep telling y'all, I feel like I hope I've given back to them as much as they've given to our stream, right? Jay Mason said, do you think Juror 25 is cooked? If it's mistrial, is it mistrial if they remove him? Well, here's the thing. It depends on how those conversations are. And I'll look at it a little bit look into it a little bit more, but we're going to have to see how those conversations inside that jury room start getting to hash your shit out. There might be a guy, or let's say that's jury 25. He's like, yo, I'm gonna be honest with you. I sat through the case just like y'all. Diddy's not guilty on none of this shit. Y'all can't change my mind. And that standoffishness, unwilling to debate or discuss or deal with the definitions that are meant for the jury foreman to read, if that person is just like, yo, I already told y'all niggas what I think. That nigga not guilty. It's over. So y'all niggas make up y'all mind, but I said he not guilty. That could maybe cause what's coming out into open court saying that there's an issue with him following directions, because the directions is that no matter what you believe, you have to go through these things sequentially. Maybe that's what he's on. Listen, I already know what it is. Nigga not guilty. So now, is it mistrial if they remove him? So that's such an amazing question. It would be mistrial if they remove him in an unethical way, right? Again, the judge didn't delve into the issue and basically said, you guys work it out. Now, if they come back out again, so they can't remove him right now, but if they come back out again and say, yo, this guy's still uncooperative, the judge is probably going to want to, he might even clear the court. He might want to hear the issue of what's going on. But unless that juror does some type of thing of misconduct, you can't remove him. If he says, I am not going to vote guilty against Diddy, that is not misconduct. That is his personal opinion. Now, if he says, or if he tries to bribe people, or if he's like, yo, fuck that, I don't care what the evidence is. See, that's what I'm saying. I don't know how. Fuck the evidence. Fuck the trial. I'm just not going to vote guilty. That would be a source of, well, really a mistrial, even if he's going for Diddy. I don't know if you know that works. Because, again, let's go back to that Vibes Cartel case. The guy who was trying to do the bribe, right, was trying to bribe people to vote Vibes Cartel innocent. But here's the thing. It's not about whether a juror is going for you or against you. Is that juror tainting the process? So if that person taints the process, even if even if it's a hung jury, well, if it's a hung jury, it's a hung jury, but let's say at some point he gets removed, even though he was going for Diddy, you could be like, hey, listen, we're still going to go for a mistrial, or on appeal, we're going to say there should have been a mistrial because they interfered with how this juror, blah, 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 blah. So there's definitely a possibility for that. Bugsy Artist, thank you for the 10. It says, yo, Act, yo, what I don't get is, was Puff mad? Why was Puff mad? Cassie's basically his creation. How long did it before getting fed up? Yes. Well, you know what it is? I think Diddy was like, he was super upset she was fucking with people in his orbit. I don't think he was ever that mad that she fucked with the sex workers, possibly outside of his presence. But fucking with people who are his peers, I think affected him. And then I think the last straw for him was, yo, you fucked the guy I paid to train you. Like, yo, you're fucking the help. I think it was the ultimate slap in the face of Diddy, because he's looking at like, yo, I gave you this amazing life. Now, you got to imagine, this is Diddy's mentality. He's not thinking about how Cassie's like, yo, I've been going through hell. Diddy's saying, I gave you this amazing life. You get everything you want. You have all your cars paid for. You're living this amazing life. And then, what the fuck? You fucked the guy that I hired to train you? Yo, I'm good. Like, yo, I can't salvage this. Because he knew, before he knew that, he knew she fucked Michael B. Jordan. But remember, none of this got out to the press yet. Michael B. And by the way, he was also telling her, like, yo, you know it's about to go public that you fucking with other people, right? You know it's about to happen, right? So he knew about Michael B. Jordan, the basketball player. He knew about a few other people, Kid Cudi. But he got over it. He drew the line on this guy, man. It was just like, bro, like, you're fucking the help. Like, I'm done.
About whether this juror note or question regarding these two witness transcripts, could that signify the end of a verdict? I want to make sure to shout out the person who asked that.
Is he wealthy? Thank you for this help. He says, look up Diddy and Jocelyn Chu at the Drake Migos concert in 2018. Wait, here we go. Is this a message? Where's this Chu person? She says her message comes after Diddy was reportedly spotted with Jocelyn Chu at Drake's concert in LA. Who's that? Jocelyn. Who's Jocelyn Chu? Oh, okay. Here we go. Oh, they deleted that page. Jocelyn Chu Diddy. Is this Jocelyn Chu? Who's Jocelyn Chu? Diddy leaves the Standard Hotel with mystery woman. Is this Jocelyn Chu? Why does every girl this guy gets looks exactly like? Is this Jocelyn? Yo, he loves Asians. That boy got an Asian fetish. Wow. This boy Diddy had an Asian fetish. Jocelyn, I was thinking that sounded like maybe an Hispanic name. It was always an Asian chick, huh? Wow. Jocelyn Chu Instagram. Yeah, my boy love his Asian chicks.
It was Rapper Trials who wrote that in. We've just been getting so many questions. I'm overwhelmed, but I love it, you guys. So keep them coming. This is another question. It is from Elisa Ray. What is the reason for the second witness being a Jane Doe, not revealing her identity like other witnesses? Because, of course, when we're talking about the key witnesses in all of this, we have Cassie, Cassandra Ventura. We know her name. We saw her face in the sketches. She was there. But then we also have Mia, the former assistant, and Jane Doe, who is Diddy's former girlfriend or love interest. And both of them in the courtroom sketches, we don't see their face. Both of them testified under pseudonyms, Mia and Jane. Elizabeth, what do you make of that? And I'm going to throw this out there. The fact that they were talking about things so traumatic, they're hoping to kind of conceal their identity or keep it private, right?
That's exactly right. So the key piece of difference that separates Cassie from these other alleged victims was Cassie filed a civil lawsuit in November 2023 before all of this happened. And I think it's easy for people to forget that because, you know, the indictment and everything that's happened, it's been over a year. But this all really stemmed from the November 2023 civil lawsuit that Cassie filed against Sean Combs, alleging a lot of the same things, saying that she alleges she was sex trafficked, that, you know, had already come forward publicly about that, and people knew who she.
George Tate, you want to take a shot? Let's take a shot. Take a shot, man. I'm locked in with y'all all day today. I know we're gonna get to some of the Drake stuff. I've seen some of the videos you guys sent. By the way, the Skinny Day says, "Act, you got to watch that. Damn is a clip. Speaking about Drake's contract and everything like that. Give me 5 more minutes on this, and then we're gonna go to the Drake. Let's go into the Drake Kendrick Lamar Not Like Us UMG battle thing, and then we'll circle to some regular hip hop topics. We'll touch back in on Verdict watch, and we'll, you know, I don't think we're gonna verdict today, but it doesn't matter. We're on stream. We're gonna just grind it out, okay?
She was. They knew the context of their relationship. So her identity was always going to be revealed in the trial because she had come out with that civil lawsuit a year before. So, you know, obviously when Cassie Ventura testified, we didn't see inside the courtroom. Unfortunately, there's no cameras in federal court, but we all knew what she testified to and what she said. The other alleged female victims, they hadn't come forward with a civil lawsuit. And that's one of the things that the prosecution really tried to hit home. Because one of the things that the defense was saying was, you know, Cassie Ventura is, of course, going to testify as to these things. She got a $20 million settlement from Combs. But these other unnamed alleged female victims didn't file any sort of lawsuit. They're not pursuing any sort of monetary damages against him. So their identity was kept private. I could understand allegedly traumatic incidents, and that's difficult for a lot of people, you know. So I think those are the two key differences. You know, they hadn't come forward in the way Cassie did, and also, you know, if they don't want to reveal their identity and, you know, who they are, then the jury and everyone else is expected to respect that privacy. And there's a lot of speculation online as to who they could be, but again, you know, you can't report on it as fact because they haven't come forward themselves.
Hey, by the way, wait, did y'all send a donation incorrectly to me? I'm tripping. Fuck. Tesla tips is, I think he was talking to Unc though. He was like, Unc, they could copy your, it's like they could copy your sidebar, your coffee, your clothes, but you're still better than theirs. Appreciate you, man. I think you should probably send that to Unc, bro. You probably sent it to the wrong person. I ain't even gonna cap with you, all right? Silas Tony, thank you for the 20. Says, yo, big fan. I've been watching you for a while. I watch you so much when you're not online. I get pissed off and I'm like, where the fuck is Ack at? Appreciate you, man. Obviously, people like you make me, you know, want to stream more and more. And by the way, we've been streaming the most these days. I know some people get mad about I think we're 2 or 30 again. And you're like, yo, Ack, you're never going to make it. Now, I remember when 100 hours was the barometer. We've been hitting at peaks of 115 hours, close to 120. You know, I can't get to Kai Cenat levels. He does like damn near 200 when he's like on, but we try. But thank you though, Silas.
Now, this is a Cassie, to talk about the court update that I have for you. We now officially know what two witnesses the jurors were asking for testimony from. Here's the update. The judge says, Judge Arun Subramanian, we've received a note from the jury asking for testimony of Cassandra Ventura as to the Intercontinental and Cannes incidents and the Daniel Phillip Essex Hotel incident, Daniel Phillips's testimony on that as well. So here's the response. Maureen Comey says, we have a disagreement. Not surprising in all of this. The judge says, first, let me know if either side minds me bringing the jury out and speaking to them. Now, Comey says, we don't see a need. Whereas Mark Agnifilo says, I confirmed with Mr. Combs and we don't see a need either. So judge says, as to any further note, let me know. So Elizabeth, we now know we're talking about Cassie Ventura and Daniel Phillip as far as these incidents. What do you make? Does that give us any sort of clue as to where the deliberations are now?
Yeah, that's really interesting. So it's tough to say exactly what they're going to use that to Cassie. And then also, again, Daniel Phillip was one of the witnesses that was put forward. He testified to a lot of things that he allegedly saw happen between Cassie and Diddy, you know, alleged abuse, things like that. So the fact that they're going to what Cassie had testified to, especially in relation to that hotel video, it doesn't surprise me just because, again, she's such a key witness. That's such a big piece of key evidence in the case. So that doesn't surprise me. Also, again, having multiple witnesses that can possibly corroborate what she first testified to in the first beginning weeks of trial. I think, to me, if they're specifically asking about that, it seems like that might go towards possible racketeering charges because, again, there's so many acts that could underlay racketeering, you know, abuse, things like that. So it could possibly be, you know, are they having a struggle trying to see if the elements have been met for racketeering? It could also be possibly going to the sex trafficking charges. Again, that's a really big piece of what Cassie's being used as a witness for, and these other alleged female victims, them saying they were forced to engage in intercourse with these male escorts and therefore sex trafficking is present. So I think it could be either one of those things. But again, the fact that it's in relation to Cassie doesn't surprise me because she's just such a huge witness in all of this.
You know, when we first got the information that there was some witness testimony, we both were like, okay, it's got to be Cassie, right? And it seems like it was. And we do have that more information. They want Cassie, they want Daniel Phillip, and then that's it. I mean, to your point, Elizabeth, everything you were just talking about, there's so many different ways that it can go because, again, Cassie was the star witness. She testified about so many other things. Now, I do have another.
This is the time to discuss. I'm happy to be with all of you right now. Let me bring in former federal prosecutor Barrett Berger. I'm also joined by criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Safa Robinson-Ferrer and criminal defense attorney and civil rights attorney Tyler Bailey. It's great to have you all here. Let me get into it. Let me talk to you about what the jury asked. And I think it is quite telling what the jury asked. They sent a note at 10:15 a.m. today. This is what they asked for. They asked for several transcript sections. Number one, Cassie Ventura's testimony regarding the Intercontinental incident. That's the infamous 2016 tape, right? Where Sean Combs is appearing to beat her and drag her back in the direction of an alleged freak-off. Ventura's testimony concerning the events at Cannes and those that immediately followed. I think that is in relation to the idea that she was on that plane, right, with Sean Combs. He sits next to her, shows her sex tapes. He asks for a freak-off. He gets a freak-off. Ventura's testimony, if any, regarding interactions of freak-offs with Daniel Phillip, and Phillip's testimony regarding the Essex Hotel incident with Ventura. Now, Daniel Phillip is interesting because he was testifying as this male performer who was engaged in these episodes with Cassie and Combs. But remember, he recounted one episode where Combs allegedly was dragging Cassie, and he even purportedly said that he remembers hearing her being slapped at one point. So this is really important testimony. Barrett, I'll start with you. Is this them trying to find concrete examples of sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion?
That's what I was thinking when I heard those questions as well. I mean, look, the first off, and I think this is an important caveat, like reading into jury notes is a truly impossible fool's errand. Every time I think I know what a jury is thinking because of their notes, I'm usually wrong. However, that being said, I feel like if they're asking this and focusing on those events, they're probably focusing on sex trafficking. The other thing you have to remember when you're looking at a jury note is this could be an attempt of a few jurors to try to, explain or convince their fellow jurors or a few other jurors, like, yeah, we saw violence here. Remember back when, Cassie was testifying about this. So sometimes this is a way of seeing how jurors are actually communicating with each other, through which segments of the transcript they're asking for.
And by the way, we just got a court update. It looks like the defense wants a little bit of clarification here. So the judge says, Judge Arun Subramanian, I understand there's an issue to resolve. So this is, again, outside the presence of the jury. This is between the judge and the different attorneys in this case. Prosecutor Maureen Comey says, I understand that during the break, the defense came up with an issue about Daniel Phillip. Sean Combs' defense attorney, Xavier Donaldson, one of his defense attorneys, the U.S. wants one more question and answer, and then we do. It's his later thoughts. Prosecutor says, on the Intercontinental Hotel incident, we think it's the day of and after, not the days before. That's our position. The defense wants to include Miss Ventura's IG post of 2024. Safa, these are interesting, right? When there is a juror question, you would think there's, how do we explain the material, provide the material to the jury? There's only so much that they can actually say. They won't, they can do a readback of testimony, but a lot of the times it's, you have to use your own recollection of the evidence. We will not provide you a legal conclusion, but also with the response back, that becomes a negotiation between the prosecution and the defense, because obviously when there's a juror question, the defense wants to make sure that the response is favorable to their client, right?
Absolutely. And what it sounds like they're trying to do right now is decide what portion of the transcript they're going to read back to the jury. So deciding when it's going to start under Mr. Phillips' testimony and where it's going to end, or with regard to what incident. And we know that it's the Essex Hotel incident, but at what back and where are they going to end it? So it's really important. And it sounds like the government wants a certain portion and the defense may want the remainder of that portion to essentially complete the question and answer to fully provide as much information as possible. If the jurors did not ask for the Instagram post, then they're not going to be able to get into that unless the juror specifically asks for that. But this is definitely something where both sides are trying to determine, and the judge is also trying to determine what information they're going to give to the jury for their deliberation.
Let me go to you, Tyler. 8.5 hours right now. I'm not surprised, right? I think that this was a question of, I didn't think we were going to get a verdict yesterday. It does become the holiday weekend, whether or not they're actually going to be able to deliberate on July 3rd. I think if they are still haven't come up with a verdict by July 2nd, by tomorrow, they may be granted July 3rd, not July 4th, but July 3rd. You anticipate a verdict before the July 4th weekend?
I do. I think that this jury has really sacrificed a lot. They've been out there listening every day intently since for about 2 months now. And now they're released since Monday. With a 4th of July holiday coming up in their heads, they're probably thinking, let's work hard, see if we can get done by the holiday. There was one, I believe, comment from the jury earlier said that they're going to leave at 5 p.m. today. They do not want to work past 5. So that leads me to believe that they are working through the material pretty quickly, and they're going to try to reach a verdict before the holiday.
Mm-hmm. All right, we got some questions coming in. All right. Okay. Let me go to you, Barrett. So this is from Callie. Do you think Mark Agnifilo actually believes what he presented in his closing arguments? How cynical. How cynical are our viewers? Do you think he believes what he said and advocated?
I mean, I will say the focus of the defense is really more of a legal defense than a factual defense, if that makes sense. So they're really not saying, all of these witnesses are not credible. You shouldn't believe a word out of their mouth. In essence, they're saying you could almost believe everything they say, and it still doesn't add up to here for a defense attorney to sell, because it's really about, the legal elements and whether this was overcharged or not, as opposed to, attacking the credibility of various witnesses. So does he actually believe this or not? I think he probably does believe this was overcharged, and he probably does believe that this was not the correct statutes that his client violated, if anything.
Over to you, Safa. This is from Lisa. Once the jury has made the decision, Will they tell the court straight away that decision, or will they be brought back another day?
They're going to tell the court right away. What will happen is they will send out a jury note indicating to the court that they've reached a verdict. The court will call all of the attorneys and the government to come in, view that juror note indicating that they have a verdict, and then prepare for them to come out and give that verdict. And that will be done very prompt, very swiftly. They're not going to bring them back another day. They're going to do it that same day that they come to that decision.
Got another court update. So Tenny Garagos, one of Sean Combs' defense counsel, says, we did include several messages from after the Intercontinental incident where they're talking about it. It's regarding the incident. It's important to weighing whether Mr. Combs coerced Ms. Ventura into commercial sex on that date. The judge says the request was for Ms. Ventura's testimony regarding the Intercontinental incident. How does something from 2024 regard it more than things closer in time? Garagos responds, in 2024, she was responding to the video of the incident and also watching it here. The judge seems skeptical here, Tyler, about including additional material to the jurors.
Yeah, the judge clearly see transcript testimony that Ms. Ventura gave regarding those 3 incidents that we just discussed. And the defense is doing a good job trying to advocate for their client, even after they've rested their case and the judge has given his jury instructions. So the game is continuing until there's an actual verdict.
Oh, what I use my beard oil, like just regular shit, man.
And then there'll be
Actually, I do have a brand that I use.
Appeal process, and I think the defense is doing a good job in trying to get more information in there that's favorable to Mr. Combs.
Barrett, we got a question about Juror 25. So I believe this is the juror yesterday, right, where there was this issue that a juror couldn't follow the judge's instructions. Came out really quickly after they began their deliberations. Monique Adams was Juror 25 replaced. I don't believe Juror 25 was replaced as of yet, although they do have concern you.
Here's the problem too, though. The alternates do not engage in the alternates are not arguing, so they're not in the deliberation room. So the alternates got dismissed, but they have their cell phone numbers to call them because they listen to the case. Here's the thing: if a juror has to be dismissed, it's going to set back the whole process, because now this juror needs to vote on every issue and even issues maybe they decided already with the juror that's leaving. So say they dismiss a juror, they bring in an alternate. The alternate's gonna be like, all right, well, now I got to go vote on everything else. Present the stuff to me that I could, listen to it and try to vote on. By the way, Kobe Watson with the big 50 in the building. Said, shout out to my brothers. It said, shout out to my brothers, Los. He broke his leg at a FanDuel event. Hit him up. He would really appreciate it. Are you saying like Los Pollos? Los Pollos broke his leg? No way.
Very much so. That's a note you don't like to get, although it did happen very early. So that gives me some comfort that maybe this is something.
Yo, Kendrick Intern's a demon. He's even on Law and Crimes donating. Talking about, can we talk about the rapper Drake weird case he had with Diddy and Kendrick exposed him? Like, yo, what's wrong with Kendrick Intern? How the fuck you on this page over here going crazy?
Work through. But no, you don't want to hear somebody that's not willing to follow the judge's instructions. I mean, we don't know what capacity he's not able to follow the instructions. Is it that he walked into the deliberation room and
let me grab this food real quick? I check.
Was like, look, I think he's, not guilty, or I think instructions to not bring in outside material. Is he saying, look, I've been reading the news about this, and this is what the news is reporting? Again, there's a lot of ways to not follow the court's instructions. So we don't know specifically what this juror is doing. But as a prosecutor, you generally want jurors that will follow the court's instructions, that will be very methodical, going through each element of the law. That's what you want to see. So this note would make me a little bit nervous.
Ready for the great questions that we have coming? I mean, we already have great questions coming in, but listen to this. By the way, before I go to the questions, update from court. Prosecutor Johnson says, she was asked, do you recall posting an Instagram in May of 2024? She wrote that domestic violence is the issue, but that's not what the jury's asking about. We'd like more in about the can incident. By the way, Safa, that's something the defense jumped on in their closing argument, that Cassie talked about this being domestic violence. She never once said it was about sex trafficking. Although couldn't the argument be, yeah, she's not a federal prosecutor. She doesn't study sex trafficking. It's more easy to say that's assault or that's domestic violence than, oh, that is a violation of the RICO statute or that's violation of sex trafficking. But I can see where the defense was going there, that, you know, their whole thing is this isn't sex trafficking or racketeering. This is just an unfortunate toxic relationship. But your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that post plays into the defense's theory that this was simply a domestically violent, toxic relationship, that it doesn't meet the standard of racketeering, that it doesn't meet the standard of sex trafficking or anything of that nature. And as Mr. Agnifilo, we coined in his closing argument, was this was some sort of love story that just went bad. So that post plays into that theory and narrative, which of course is why the defense would want it in. But Ms. Ventura is, of course, not in a position to racketeering. She doesn't have the legal education or knowledge or position to make that determination, as we can see here, which is ultimately why the government essentially believed that they had enough to put in front of a grand jury for these specific charges that he's now facing.
Tyler, we got a super chat question from Kid Sister. So thank you so much, Kid Sister. Should RICO laws change that if charging co-conspirators must be charged to show a criminal enterprise is indeed at work, even if pleas are offered? So in other words, you can never charge somebody with racketeering conspiracy unless they're charged with somebody else. I think that's what the question is. It's a good question.
Yeah, it's a great question, but I don't think our RICO laws should be changed. It's been an effective tool that prosecutors have used and the government has used to, curb all types of crime, from thinking about prohibition, organized crime when it came down to the mafia. There's national criminal organizations that are prosecuted under RICO. So although this case is a little different regarding Mr. Combs being prosecuted as, for lack of better, the government to curb crime. And that's what the statutes are for.
Got a super chat question here. I'll throw this to you, Barrett. This is from Forest and Fawn. Honestly, great name. Okay, I think that should be like some sort of company, Forest and Fawn. It's actually Forest plus Fawn, but I think it's great. Thank you so much for the super chat question. Why can't jurors have a legal background? I get that it's of your peers, but how can a deli clerk make a lawful decision without proper education? Look, that's an interesting question. There can be lawyers on there, but really? I was just talking to somebody about this. Racketeering is so complicated. I've been explaining for the last 7-8 weeks, and there's still complications regarding even when I speak to non-lawyers. No fault. It's very complicated. 62 pages of a jury instruction form. Do you think it's fair that there are non-lawyers on the jury who are now going to be making an impactful legal decision, legal conclusion?
I do. I mean, not only because it's what our Constitution requires, but also because if the prosecutors can't convince 12, reasonable men and women why somebody's guilty, if they can't explain it in really just, easy, if they can't do that, then they're really doing something wrong. We have to be able to convince everyone from a lawyer to a plumber why somebody's guilty. That's sort of the basics of our legal system. So look, I understand there are certain cases that really lend themselves to people having a certain expertise. I mean, really complicated, accounting fraud or, securities fraud trials. And we do ask regular people, regardless of their background, to just pay attention, to bear with the prosecution. And if the prosecution has done a good job, the jurors are able to follow it.
We got a ton of questions coming in. Safa, this is from Amber Jordan. Why is the attorneys deciding what to show the jury of the transcript? Why can't the jury view any and all transcripts and evidence they want?
That's a good point.
When the jurors ask their questions, they have to ask very specific questions. So if the jurors would have asked, we want to see the entire transcript of Cassie Ventura's testimony, starting from the very beginning to the very end, then they would be able to see that. But if they're asking for specific portions of those transcripts, the court has to respond to their questions in a very narrow way. So the court is going to interpret these questions very specific, and they will answer those and give them these specific answers. So if they're asking for a certain portion, they will give them that. But the jurors can ask for more. They can ask for an entire witness's testimony. It's just up to what they ask, and they need to be as specific as possible.
What a great question we got from Stella. Okay, I'm going to throw this to you, Tyler. There's a question for Jesse and the panel. Which would you choose as a defendant? Which would you choose as a defendant? Strong evidence with a weaker attorney, or weaker evidence with highly skilled attorneys? Love the show. We'll miss you when the trial is over. That's very kind. We're going to miss you guys too. So, what do you think?
I'll take strong evidence with a weaker attorney. Because, as we mentioned earlier, these are regular folks who are on the jury, and sometimes people are moved by larger personalities. Just think of it in the closing argument, and they do not come off convincing at all. And then the defense lawyer gets up there bold and confident and pointing out how the prosecution doesn't even believe in their case. You can tell by their demeanor. Those are things that go a long way in moving a jury. So I'll take a strong evidentiary case and a weak prosecution, or weak lawyer presenting it any day.
Barrett, question from Brooklyn Truth. If Diddy's found not guilty and will the government immediately appeal? Will he be released or remain in jail? Explain what happens if he's found not guilty.
Yeah, if he's not guilty, he's not guilty. End of sentence. The government doesn't get a right to appeal that, even if they disagree with it. So if he's not guilty, he will be released from jail. He's still going to have a lot of civil lawsuits that would be no government appeal.
Going to you, Safa, from Velimir Makar. Thank you for your great coverage from Ireland. Oh, wow, so far away. Do you think if the jury finds Sean Combs guilty, will the government then prosecute Christina Coram, his purported former chief of staff?
Could they? Yes. Do I think they're going to? No. I think it would have been more likely that the government would have either charged her as a co-defendant in this case, which I'm actually surprised that they did not. I mean, I'm also equally surprised that they never called her as a witness to testify, and only they know why they haven't done that. But the reality is, I don't think that they're going to call her as a co-conspirator. They'd have to do all of this over again and call some of the same witnesses. And I think it would just be a waste of time and judicial resources to do that. I think if they were going to charge her, they would have already.
A lot of questions about this juror who allegedly is not refusing, or at one point refused to not follow the instructions. That's, again, just the accusation that was put forward. This is from, I'll throw this to you, Tyler. This is from ZimmyFan617. Can you charge a juror with contempt of court if they simply refuse to follow the required rules? If not, can an alternate juror be put in their place?
So, great question. A judge could technically charge a juror with contempt of court. What more than likely would happen if there was some reason why a juror could not, that juror, and he would be questioned by the court, by the judge, and the counsel will be present to hear what the substance of the questioning is. And more than likely, this would be a situation when this juror is excused. So we don't know right now that this juror is outright refusing the instructions of the court. The comment that was given was he cannot follow the instructions for whatever reason. And he probably just got a strong encouragement in their note back from the court to the jury, telling them to do their job and their responsibility as jurors. And it seems like that's not an issue, since we're on hour probably 9 now, and they're still going.
Barrett, we got another question coming in. This is from Maddie Lindemood. Question. When Cassie's mom had to pay $20,000 to Diddy.
Emmett number one, Drake number one. If anybody got a problem with that, you be having a problem with the U.S. Army, man. They don't want no goddamn smoke. And is that a Dominican Republic flag? I'm not tripping. And the Jamaican flag. My boy. Shout out to you, bro.
RICO, it's not listed in the jury instructions / verdict form under RICO no more. See, I think that goes more to the idea of, was coercion being used, right, to induce Cassie into these freak-offs?
Yeah, I agree. I think that is all part of the sex trafficking charges. Remember, they have to show that the women were trafficked by force, fraud, or coercion. One of the ways the government has alleged that Cassie was holding over her head saying, you know, I can release this at any time. So that's sort of part and parcel of that charge. Is it part of the racketeering charge? I mean, it's not one of the listed predicates, which means they don't have to say this was proven or not proven. But look, the idea of how he used his associates and the people around him to effectuate this transaction with Cassie's mom, I mean, look, that is sort of part of the enterprise itself. So even though this isn't listed as a specific predicate, they can certainly consider all of this wrongdoing when they're thinking about, was he part of an enterprise and did an enterprise exist?
Saf, I'm going to give you a choice on questions here. So I'm first going to read you this question. I'm not really sure what it pertains to. If you don't want to answer it, we'll move on. And I have another question. From the UK, anyone serve as jury, even people have been to prison. There is no timeline when jury should come back with results, serve 6 months. I think a lot of different points to that. Any comment there? I'll throw another question to you if you're interested, but any comment to that?
Not quite sure what this individual is asking. I don't know if it's
okay. Let me see if I can make sense. Can you serve on a jury if you've been to prison?
So it depends. More often than not, the answer is going to be no, or you'll be taken off the jury pool or the jury panel, especially by the prosecution. But that essentially is the answer, and a lot of that will be predicated on whether or not or what state you live in and things like that.
Okay. There's no time limit when the jury has to come back on a decision, right?
Theoretically.
Not a time limit. If they come back in an hour, that's valid. If they have a guilty verdict in an hour, if they come back in a month, if they come back in 3 months, all of that is going to be valid.
That's if the judge allows it. The judge could basically say, hey, listen, if you guys aren't agreeing, we're gonna just call this a mistrial.
As long as they come back with a unanimous verdict.
And then the serve 6 months, let me interpret that. If he's found guilty of transportation to engage in prostitution, which carries up to 10 years.
Or he falls in the sentencing guidelines, or how he would be categorized. So in federal court, there's a sentencing guideline and a range, and that person is categorized based on what level of offense and their criminal history and all of those sorts of things. The judge will take all of that into totality. He's got more than 6 months in right now. He's been in custody for more than 6 months. So essentially, could the court take that into consideration and give him a sentence that is consistent with the time he's gotten, of course, but the judge could also give him up to 10 years.
Prosecutor, would you have an opinion on what his sentence would be if he's convicted of transportation to engage in prostitution? Let's say 2 counts. I've always said that I feel like that's the strongest charge, the most straightforward path to conviction. What could he get?
Yeah, so those would have a maximum sentence of 10 years if the only counts that he was convicted on were the 2 Mann Act charges. Could they be stacked? Yes. Do I think that's likely? No. So I think if he's convicted of the Mann Act, it's hard to make a true prediction, but I'll put it this way. The judge can also consider all of the other evidence that he's heard during this trial. So even if he gets acquitted of the RICO count, even if he gets convicted of both of the sex trafficking counts, the judge can consider everything that came in that was relevant to those counts when he's sentencing him on those 2 Mann Acts. So he, certainly would give him, in my imagination, a more significant sentence based on all of that information than he would have otherwise.
Yeah, it kind of answers the question we had from Keenan Jackson. Besides from walking away free, what's the least amount of time Sean can receive for the lesser charges? Does his time served count for his sentencing if he doesn't get life? Okay, so we kind of answered that question. Safa, I said I would have another question for you. This is from Anto Grego. Hello, you beautiful people. Question: if he's found guilty, can he ask for bail while waiting to appeal?
He can ask, but I'm sure he's going to be denied.
No.
What's going to ultimately happen is if he's found guilty, he of course will.
Cap. It depends on what. If his prostitution charges, he's going to get bail. If he's only given bail, if he's only guilty on prostitution charges, that means the allegations of him being this violent dangerous person that did a RICO runs a criminal enterprise is not going to be valid. That's not going to be matter. That's not going to matter for bail. It's only prostitution. They're going to give him bail. But if he gets a sex trafficking charge, then he's not getting bail. If he gets a RICO charge, he's not getting bail. If he gets only those two, which I'm predicting he's getting, I think W. So if he gets guilty, there's no way in my mind he gets acquitted on all charges. So 2 out of 5, I think he is good. Okay. If he gets 3 out of 5, no matter what it is, because if it's 3 out of 5, that means it has a RICO or a sex trafficking case or a sex trafficking charge. That means at least 20 years. He's fucked. And he definitely won't get bail. But if he only gets the sex trafficking, and by the time an appeal even is started, the sentence will be have ran up. So like it would be like a null case. So they'll just be fighting about, are we gonna just almost pardon this conviction, or not pardon, but like reverse the conviction, if you ask me.
Remain in custody, and then there will be a sentencing date that is scheduled for him to be sentenced. After he is sentenced, then he can file the notice of appeal, and it may take however long. Sometimes people sit and wait for an appeal for 1 to 2 years in custody before their appeal is even heard. So I highly doubt that if he's convicted, he's going to be getting out. He's not going to be getting out while he's pending an appeal. He will remain in custody for that point, till that point in time.
We've got an update from court. Tenny Garagos, Sean Combs' defense attorney, says, "We think we should start with the first government exhibit about the Intercontinental Freak-Off." Prosecutor Johnson says, "If we could get the laptop back, we could load a searchable PDF." The judge says, "I agree. Some earlier and later messages should be given. What's left?" Prosecutor says, "We'd like to include the photos she took of her injuries and the message from March 5th. Judge says, "Ms. Garagos, don't those fall into the same category? What would be the objection?" Garagos says, "I have to maintain my objection to the photo." So, question about what material the jury will be handed over. Okay, Tyler, got a juror. Can I refuse to watch explicit videos?
That's interesting.
You have to review all the evidence. I mean, could you refuse to watch it? Maybe not watch the entire thing. I'm pretty sure they've redacted some parts out of the video in consideration of people not wanting to watch the sensitive material, and also the privacy of those victims who are involved in the materials. But your obligation as a juror is to review all evidence and then make a decision. And in this case, they are explicit materials. Does that mean you have to watch it over and over again? No, you don't. But you do have to review the evidence at least.
Let me throw another question to you. Again, from Brooklyn Truth. When a defendant has so many lawyers, like Sean Combs does that make it difficult for the team to cooperate effectively?
I don't think so. You may have different personalities who disagree on certain aspects, but remember the client, the defendant, it's his trial, and his decision is ultimately who trumps everybody. And then you mentioned the team. Usually it's a team. Everybody has a certain role. There was a lawyer who did the opening. There's a lawyer who did the closing. Certain lawyers cross-examined certain witnesses. Certain lawyers presented certain arguments, whether it's pre-trial or post-trial. So everybody has a role to play, and they have to work together, and ultimately,
For you, Barrett, this is from Becky Pell. Aside from England, asking from England, excuse me, do you think it was a mistake that the Diddy team didn't put up a defense? If so, is this a reason Diddy could use for appeal?
I don't think it was a mistake for them not to call. They were not saying these people are lying about everything. I think they were saying, even if you assume what they're saying is true, it's not sex trafficking. It's not RICO. And they said as much in their silence. It's a lifestyle, but it's not what the prosecutors have charged. So I think given that that was their whole tactic and their strategy, it would have been in some ways odd to call a lot of witnesses. I think it was a very smart decision not to put the defendant on the stand. I think that really only would have work to their detriment. So I think that was actually a very smart decision. But to her second point, could they use this as part of an appeal? I mean, possibly, right? One of the things that defendants bring up on appeal in almost every single appeal of a criminal trial is ineffective assistance of counsel. So just to play that out, he would say, my counsel was ineffective in not putting up a defense. They should have called witnesses. I wanted them to, they didn't. I have to think, given everything that we've just talked about, it's not going to be a very strong argument on appeal, but of course, he will make that.
Nah, that'll be, I think, I disagree with that. I think it'll be a decent argument on appeal. I'll tell you why. Even though I don't think he would, and obviously, like, just culturally it would look crazy. You got the best lawyers in the world, but it would look decent in a docket for an the whatever circuit court that's gonna hear it, because number one, Judge Submaranian, he denied the extension of the trial for 60 days, or was it 30 days actually, or maybe it was 90 days, and according to him, he was just like, we need to get this show on the road. Why? Cassie was pregnant. Cassie's the main witness. Now, Diddy had just hired a new lawyer, Brian Steele. It's a fair argument to say, well, we hired Brian Steele. We know we had our lead attorney, but we wanted to go with this guy. Obviously, the prosecutor is going to come back with like a brief saying, no, nigga, you never fired your main lawyers. So if you get another attorney, you don't get to restart the clock, because otherwise you could just keep hiring attorneys. And if we're restarting the clock, it's crazy. If you had fired Mark Agnifilo, or Agnifilo had left the case, that would be a reasonable thing to say, we have to extend it. And the judge was whatever, So yeah.
If he's convicted.
And it brings us to what his behavior was. I mean, because it seems like from the reporting that we have, he's constantly been nodding and constantly been in agreement with his attorneys and conversing with his attorneys and part of the defense. So it would be difficult for him to say, I didn't know what was going on with my legal defense. I asked for this. They did this. I mean, but you never know. I'll tell you what, we got Sierra Gillespie. We got Law and Crimes reporter. We got the host of Scandal with us right now. She's outside that federal courthouse. Sierra, hi. Good to see you. How's everything going out there?
Hi, Jesse. That intro, I got to clip that and watch it on repeat when I need to pump myself up when I'm having a bad day. I loved it. We're getting court updates. There's smell of the verdict in the air. Could be today, tomorrow. I'm just happy to be here.
Well, we're happy to have you. We're happy to see you. You came all the way in for it. We got questions coming in for you.
I'm starting to think that they're not going to get a verdict today nor tomorrow, and that we're going to go into another week. I have a sneaky suspicion that's going to happen.
Or at least questions that I think you would be great to answer. Okay, ready? Okay.
Yes.
This is a question from Christina Lester. It's a super chat question. So, Christina, thank you so much. I read that, and don't worry about this federal code. I'm not asking you to get into the weeds with federal law, but I read that 18 U.S.C. 1508 prohibits recording, listening to,
By the way, we're at 9 hours now,
or observing jury proceedings, but jurors may take notes during deliberations. Does that mean that said notes may one day become public?
This is a really good question. And yes, to the point of our viewer, are allowed to take notes during all of this. However, I do believe that they are destroyed, or they have to turn them back in at the end of deliberation. This is something that I've seen in other cases. And just to be completely straightforward, I'm more proficient in state cases. This is one of my first big federal cases that we've had here. So I don't know if it's different, but I believe that they have to turn them over.
You're right. Barrett Berger with us, is that correct?
Yeah, so the jury, anything that the jury writes down on their notepads, at the end of each court day, they have to give it back to the bailiff. It becomes part of the court record. So at the end of the proceedings, proceedings, they'll also have to give them back. Would those ever become of juror fraud, or they were writing inappropriate notes to each other, something like that? You could imagine them coming back into part of a record on appeal, but in, I would say, 99.9% of the cases, these will never see the light of day.
I'm going to go back to Sierra in a second, but we got a legal question that came in. I'll throw it to Safa. I'll throw it to Safa first. Safa, this is a super chat question from Mayra. Mayra, thank you so much. If the jury doesn't come back with a full not guilty, what's the next best case scenario for Diddy? PSA, Sierra's right. You do have perfect hair. Gosh, best audience, best audience. I even forgot what the question was. Oh, yeah. If the jury doesn't come back with a full not guilty, what's the next best case scenario for Diddy? I guess imagine being found guilty of the transportation to engage in prostitution.
Yes, most definitely. And so the jurors have to have a unanimous verdict. So they all have to determine guilty or not guilty. Next best case scenario for Diddy, if they don't come back with an outright acquittal, would be if they came back guilty on the transportation to engage in prostitution, not guilty on the sex trafficking, not guilty on the racketeering. The biggest issue here is going to be the racketeering. That's where he has the most to lose. That's where he's facing life in prison. Best case scenario outside of the acquittal would be the
Sierra. So we got a question from Jet. By the way, Sierra, did you say I have perfect hair? This is phenomenal. This is the best reporting that you've done in decades. The public sit and wait in the courtroom all day, even while the judge is off the bench?
Oh, this is a great question because we've talked about this a lot, right? Inside the federal courtroom, we read general or sidebar, wherever law and crime. However, it is a public courthouse, and I have seen multiple people who are not even media going inside because that's what it's there for. You're allowed to do that. So yes, there is a waiting area inside. Now, to be clear, P. Diddy, Sean Combs, does occasionally go back into the courtroom. For instance, if there's any sort of juror question, which we've seen a couple of them so far, he'll be escorted back with U.S. Marshals into the courtroom. We know his mother's there, the defense, the prosecution, everybody's there chatting and kind of waiting to hear what's going on. Otherwise, he's held in a holding cell rather that's kind of nearby. But if you're interested and you want to sit around and wait and see what's going on, you can come in as long as it's not completely full.
Yeah. And by the way, do you know how busy it is right now? Are there a ton of people waiting for the verdict?
It's interesting. I was actually just inside. We did our live cut-in, and I ran inside to go to the bathroom and see what was going on. And honestly, it's not that busy. I kind of expected it a bit more. Reporters are going inside, presumably just to keep cool. Others have come out. Elizabeth Milner has come out with us. And then when there is any sort of jury question, she'll run back inside. So I think I've seen more of that. It's not as busy as you would think because people are kind of all just waiting.
I've got a question here. As somebody who's followed trials for several years, this is for you, Sierra. Tucka asks, what does it mean the longer deliberations go on? More or less favorable for Diddy?
I think that's a IDK kind of question. Case is different. And I know that there are sometimes comparisons that people make. For instance, it should be 1 day of deliberation per week of trial. That's something that people sometimes go by. Or sometimes they say, okay, if the jury is having pizza on a Friday, they'll hold out for a little bit longer to eat the pizza and then they'll come back with a verdict. There's so many different theories about, the lengthy deliberation, meaning one sort of a verdict, or a short one, meaning another one. I really think it just depends. And as far as this trial, I really just believe that the length of the deliberation and the questions that our jurors are asking show that they're talking things out, that they're doing their job, that they're going through and referring back to jury instructions and talking about things that they felt were really important during the entire case altogether. So I don't know if I can say one way or another which way they're leaning based on the length of deliberation. I don't know, maybe with more questions, we could have a clearer picture.
Well, this is a good follow-up. This is from Cuervo. How many jurors does Combs need on his side to get off?
Oh, this is a great question. All of them. It needs to be unanimous, right? I mean, and there could be a mixed verdict.
Cap. He just needs one. That's cap. They need all to convict him, not all to get him off. Then, I mean, granted, if all said no, he gets off. But you could get a hung jury with one who just won't vote guilty. It's going to be a pickle unless all vote guilty. So that's not the truth. It's only if you need one to say, I'm not voting guilty, and we're going to have a problem.
Verdicts here, you know, we could find him not, and when I say we, I mean the jury, could find him not guilty on some, guilty on others. It's called what we call a mixed or split verdict, but it needs to be unanimous. That's kind of the way it goes, and that's why sometimes deliberations take a while.
Nah.
Because they need to talk it out.
Let me tell you this, a hung jury works in Diddy's favor, man. I don't think they're bringing this case again. A hung jury, I think that the judge going to sequester them for like a good 6 days or a week. They still don't come to nothing. Mistrial. Once there's a mistrial, they're going to say, yo, the federal government, I forgot the exact time, you got 60 days or 90 days to refile this case. And the defendant has the opportunity to seek immediate bail. It's a new not district attorney. It's a new U.S. attorney. I get that these 6 women, white women who are AUSAs work hard on this, but I can't believe an office that knows that possibly this time around the prosecution won't be this quick. Because now Diddy's been in jail for like a year. Diddy might wait this out. Diddy might wait this shit out. Remember what's happening. This is federal government. It's a high-profile case. The last nigga who decided to pursue the case, he's gone. His name is Damon Williams. He's gone. He's a Democrat. It's Trump time right now. So they got in a different U.S. attorney. Why the hell would he want to go cross the T's and dot the I's on the last nigga shit by doing it again? Now, administration changes. However, if Diddy has to get retried, this new district attorney has to be committed to it, and also knowing that in 4 years, Trump ain't gonna be there. It's gonna be another person, and that person might be Democrat as well, so he'd be out of a job as well again. So I don't know.
Here's why I feel this way. Here's why you feel that way. We'll talk, you know, where can we meet in the middle? And as you can hear behind me, there's always something going on here at the courthouse, which is why it's so fun to be reporting live. There's really just always something going on. And there's probably a lot of that stuff going on, a lot of discussions going on inside the deliberation room. But again, I do just have to hammer home, it has to be unanimous when they come and return a verdict.
How great is Sierra? We paid those guys to drive by and yell at you just to see if you'd break form. Did not break a beat. This is Sierra Gillespie, everybody. This is the host of Scandal. All right, so Sierra, stand by. We got more questions coming in. We got more court updates. So first of all, they're going back and forth about what's the material going to be given to the jury after their question. Prosecutor says, we do not think her testimony, meaning Cassie's testimony about her Instagram post, is relevant. We think it's confusing. The judge says, I think it can be included. Both sides have reviewed. We'll proceed on this basis. And it looks like they have adjourned on that. Okay, go back to you, Tyler. Got a bunch of questions coming up. This is from Ethelyn Buckmeyer. Did the defense not call any witnesses because they're confident they'll win? Love you, Jesse. Love from the UK. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. So what do you think, Tyler? Did the defense not call any witnesses because they're confident that they'll win?
I don't think that was a reason for not calling any witnesses. I think it's more so strategic on this case, and their theme has been the government has overcharged and they have not met their burden of proof by beyond a reasonable doubt of the charges that Mr. Combs convicted of. They did spend significant effort in cross-examining the government's witnesses, and I believe they strategically felt that anybody they could call would not add to their case and may distract from the burden that the government has to prove to win their case.
Barrett, Rita Connors asks, if Sean Combs is convicted and sent to federal prison, will he always remain in protective custody, or will he be moved to general population? How does it work in the federal system?
Yeah, unless there's an issue that requires him to be in.
Call me crazy, but I see a comment on YouTube. Prostitution is not illegal everywhere. Prostitution is illegal everywhere outside, like, for example, in Clark or Harris. That's the county that Nevada is in. But outside of that county in Nevada, prostitution is legal. Now, it's one of those things, it's like weed. Weed is illegal federally, but I live in New Jersey. It's legal in New Jersey. Now, here's the thing. It's illegal for me to bring a pound of weed to another state, because that's where you get into federal laws. Remember, federal laws, there's always this thing that says, does it affect interstate commerce? So while prostitution is illegal federally, if you locally get into prostitution, cool. But if you fly somebody in for prostitution, you've now interfered with interstate commerce, and it's a federal charge, right? So if you flew somebody in to Las Vegas, you can't get charged by Vegas, because locally, well, actually not Vegas, but anywhere outside of Clark County, I believe. I think that's right. Because prostitution's legal in everywhere in Nevada besides Clark County. Let me just Google that and clarify it. Nevada prostitution legal. Yeah, I believe everywhere but Clark County. I could be wrong. Let's see. Only legal and licensed brothels it's not legal statewide. It's illegal in Las Vegas. Okay, they're doing a lot. Okay, it's legal in 10 of the 17 counties. The only counties that you would consider going to is Clark, which is Vegas. So you can do prostitution in Vegas. But the other counties, for the most part, I guess 10 out of 17, you could, But if you're flying prostitutes in, it doesn't matter, because now it's a Fed case.
In protective custody, I don't think that he would stay in protective custody his whole time. I mean, if you look at other celebrities that have been sentenced, ultimately they do make their way into general custody. So right now, he's being held in sort of a pretrial facility. If he's convicted, he would ultimately be sentenced to a longer term actual prison. So he could be upstate New York, he could be in North Carolina and housed someplace close to family to make it easier to visit. But it's really, up to not only the judge, but also to the Bureau of Prisons to figure out what's the most appropriate facility for him.
The transcripts are going to be sent to the jury by 1 p.m. This is per reporting from CNN. So again, the transcript excerpts regarding the Intercontinental Hotel incident, a big piece of evidence, a big event in this case. Safa, you want a question from Safa? So Safa to Safa. Safa asks, on the jury sheet, it said count 3 transportation Cassie. Is transportation charge only for Cassie and not the dozens of escorts?
So if I can recall the verdict sheet, it does appear that the transportation portion is in connection with Cassie Ventura, and there's also a component that is specific to Jane. It does not sound, at least reviewable based on the verdict sheet, that it's with regard to the escorts, although we have heard testimony of that as well, but specific to Cassie Ventura and Jane.
To be clear, though, the argument is, right, Sean Combs transported men. They don't even have to be sex workers. Transported men and Cassie, charged for count 3, and Jane for count 5, for the purposes of sex work. So they are a part of it.
Yes, they're definitely.
Yeah, it's probably legal.
Or at someone's direction from Mr. Combs to travel to, for example, Turks and Caicos, or to New York, or to Miami, to engage in sexual activity with Cassie Ventura or Jane Doe as well. Traveling across interstate lines, which of course would affect commerce. And so That essentially is the government's argument, that he participated in these things, that these sex workers were transported across interstate lines along with Miss Ventura, and that she was sex trafficked, and essentially substantiating what the government alleges as the transportation to engage in prostitution and the sex trafficking charges.
Tyler, got a question from Old Hollywood Angels. What is a foreperson?
The jury foreperson is essentially the leader and spokesperson for the jury. They're the ones who.
All right, we'll take a break on this, just because I don't want to get us to get burnt out with the Diddy stuff. We'll actually hop over to. So we all know what's going on with Drake suing UMG. He claims that he was defamed by the song "Not Like Us." He was titled a certified PDF, and that has severely affected his entire career. Okay, what is this? Anyway, there's a video that's interested on this. I want to watch. This is a guy, I think, what's his name? Multi-platinum producer and radio executive. Never heard of him, but his name is Demiza Young. Claims UMG was trying to sabotage Drake due to a $500 million offer he received from Sony after he recouped from his $400 million deal in just a year. He says it's normal for labels to play this gangster tactic of devaluing artists leaving a label.
But Drake is a little bit different. Now, Drake is one of the smartest guys out there. Okay. His team is really smart. I mean, they own the rigging. They own the lighting. They his people are a little bit smarter than the average bear. So when it comes to touring and leverage and stuff like that, he doesn't have a whole lot of, I mean, he owns the plane. He owns, I mean, look at the deal he did for the plane. It was a shipping company that he did the plane deal with, where it was basically a trade. Say that you're doing this for us. All you gotta do is pay for your gas. We'll let you use the plane. You know what I mean? And we'll refurbish it for you and all of that stuff. Just use it on tour and say our name. You know what I mean? Like, so, I mean,
so he doesn't have to put up his catalog necessarily.
Nah, and you also have to remember this. The reason why this case is going on is they gave him $400 million. Okay, Universal gave him $400 million.
For what?
For as an advance on his royalties.
Okay.
Well, he recouped that within the year and a half, something like that. Was already in renegotiations. Then Sony came along, said we'll give you $500 million. And he had leverage, but then Sony or Universal was like, no. And then that's what this case is about. Okay, did you release Kendrick and sabotage me to get my numbers down so that I didn't have the leverage to get this money? And because I was going to go to Sony, you wanted to ruin it. And I mean, that's what we went through with Mariah, was they were trying to devalue her brand at the end of the Sony run when we did Heartbreaker, and Tommy was actively out there. You know, the J-Lo thing, the Ja Rule thing, all of that stuff was to devalue her brand before she jumped labels. So it's normal for labels to play this gangster tactic. But Drake
now being used. He says, I hate that I was used as a pawn in all this. I was a young artist, just happy to be writing for some of my favorite artists. That's me give you guys, I seen Lawyer for Workers kind of break down what happened in court, and then we'll kind of read some of the court documents. Let's get into, is it this? Here we go.
First, Universal Music Group, Judge Vargas just completed her hearing on the motion to dismiss. Let me tell you what I think she's going to do with this case. As you know, Drake sued Universal Music claiming defamation in the publication of the song Not Like Us, making him and calling him a pedophile when in fact he never was. Universal Music Group moved to dismiss those claims. They say, Judge, you can't actually bring a lawsuit like this. Why? Because the statement certified lover boy, certified pedophile, first off, how do you certify a lover boy in the same way you certify a pedophile? Hyperbole. trash talk, just nonsense being said in rap songs. That's not something you can sue for. You have to dismiss this case. What do I think the judge is going to do? Universal's big argument is that look at the context of what happened here. In the tailor-made freestyle, Drake was out there saying, yeah, go ahead, talk about how I like young girls. That's going to be a win for me. That's an actual quote from the tailor-made freestyle. And now Kendrick comes back. He accepts his invitation to talk about the young girls. So what's the problem? This is the trash talk back and forth that we all expected to happen in this rap battle. Drake's lawyers made a great argument, which is, wait a second, Not Like Us was not part of the rap battle. Yeah, it was a song in the rap battle, but it eclipsed the rap battle and became its own thing, a cultural phenomenon, a song like no other song in the history of music, quite frankly.